Good morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 46 degrees right now, pretty chilly, and our forecast calls for the overcast skies to stay today and for the temps to stay in this range. So what you feel right now is what you feel at the end of the day. We've got more in the forecast just ahead. Well, reports say the Pentagon is evaluating plans to take control of big swaths of land along the southern border. That would create a buffer zone between the U.S. and Mexico and give U.S. troops an area to temporarily hold migrants. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reports from Washington.
The Washington Post reports the land would initially be in New Mexico, then possibly stretch to California. It comes as the White House escalates its attack against federal judge James Boasberg. Boasberg is warning of consequences as he considers whether the administration defied his ruling when it deported alleged Venezuelan gang members last weekend. Boasberg said the administration has not provided enough evidence to justify using the Alien Enemies Act without due process.
Judge Boasberg has extended his deadline until noon today for the administration to provide more details about deportations. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants property tax appraisals every other year instead of the traditional every 4 years. That would mean more frequent tax increases for property owners. Well, right now, property tax appraisals are underway, and Metro Council member Courtney Johnston tells WTN's Matt Murphy what she is expecting from O'Connell's budget.
Yes, and just to put it into perspective, my over-under on the percentage increase is 20%.
The mayor must submit his budget by the end of next month. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks soaring after the Federal Reserve decided to hold interest rates steady and stood firm on 2 rate cuts later this year. The Dow added 383 points. The Nasdaq gained 247, and the S&P rose 61. Fed Chair Jerome Powell acknowledged rising pessimism from both businesses and consumers, but pointed to things like a relatively low unemployment rate as an indicator that the economy remains solid. On the losing side of Wall Street, General Mills. It reported a stronger profit for the latest quarter than analysts expected, but the cereal maker's revenue fell short of analysts' targets thanks to a slowdown in snack sales. Amtrak CEO Stephen Gardner says he'll step down immediately after more than 4 years, citing concerns about maintaining the support from the Trump administration. A Delaware House committee has voted to advance a bill that Governor Matt Meyer says will ensure the state remains the premier home for businesses to incorporate. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures this morning are flat. We've got Dow futures up by 5 points. NASDAQ futures gaining 6. The S&P futures are on the plus side by 1 point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, the majors look okay this morning. No problems on 40, 24, or 65, but we do have a bit of a slowdown southbound on Nolensville Pike. It's between Ander Drive and Concord Hills. Not really sure what it is, but it looks like it's very slow in that area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning, Tia. How are you? Thursday already. It is incredible that it is already Thursday. Last week was like a snail. But this week it has gone really fast. And so, yes, it is Thursday, one day away from Friday. We'll go ahead and call it Friday Eve. I'm in that kind of a mood today, Friday Eve.
Here we go.
I think, Joan, I heard that. I think, Joan, we have a really good poll question today.
Okay.
Have you noticed that the Democrats, and I've got some audio on this a little bit later, but have you noticed that the Democrats are trying to equate their vandalizing and hatred and doxing of Tesla owners, calling for violence and actually carrying out violence against Tesla generally speaking, they're trying to equate that with Republicans and our protest of Bud Light. Now, clearly, they're not the same thing. I mean, did Republicans dox the people who buy Bud Light? Did Republicans attack?
Did they send Molotov
Bud
cocktails through the bars of people who sell Bud Light? No.
Right. When you would go to a ball game or whatever and they had a Bud Light booth, did Republicans, go after the people that were either in line to buy Bud Lights or selling Bud Light? No.
Yeah, no.
So for the Democrats to try to equate the two is just ridiculous. And so that is our poll question. I have a feeling, you know what? This may be a 100 to 0 issue, but one of the things, this is our poll question today, Joan.
Yeah.
Do you equate and we KGB framed it a certain way, but the bottom line is, do you equate the Tesla protests, and I'm gonna air quote that because these are far from mostly peaceful protests, but do you equate the Tesla protests with the Bud Light protests, as the left is trying to do? And again, that is just ridiculous. Do you know, I don't even think when Republicans were targeting Walmart or Target, was Walmart a part of that? I think, yeah, they were. Yeah. And all these other stores or companies or corporations that were laden with DEI, what did Robbie Starbuck do? Robbie Starbuck basically went to the companies and said, here's the pressure campaign that you're going to face. He never called for violence against these corporations. He never called for people to be doxxed. He never did any of that. And Republicans never called for it.
Right.
As far as I know, nobody ever doxed the owners of Target or the CEOs of Target or Walmart or whatever it is. The left and people in Congress are actually calling for people within Tesla, including Elon Musk and the people that sell Teslas and the people that buy Teslas, to be doxxed and attacked. I mean, it kind of shows you what the Democrats stand for. I mean, they are laden with violence these days. It is incredible. And they wonder why, they wonder why their approval rating is down to, what was it, 25 and 29% in the polling the other day? last week, I think it was. So, yeah, and matter of fact, I've got a couple of stories that I'm going to do at 5:35. We're going to talk about what is going on. I'm going to call this a Go Woke, Go Broke update, and that is coming up here on Super Talk. So that is our daily Dan poll question. How exactly did we frame it, KGB?
Yeah, so what I said was, do you equate the Dems' Tesla hate to the Republicans' Bud Light boycott?
Okay.
I kind of worded it unfairly, but I can't call it Bud Light hate because they just stopped purchasing it. There wasn't like visceral keying of people's cars and
there really wasn't,
and
was there?
Committing terrorist acts.
No, there was no terrorist acts.
No.
All right. So other things in the news today. Thank you. Other news in the news today. Is today the day, and it looks like it is, that President Donald Trump is going to end the Department of Education.
And I will shut down the federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the states where it belongs and where they can individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
So that is Trump, of course, on the campaign trail. This headline from Fox News, and by the way, we saw this coming. President Trump set to sign an order that would close the Department of Education. Let the hysteria begin, by the way. Donald Trump is expected to sign an executive order today, following through on that campaign promise to disband the Department of Education, claiming on the campaign trail that the department was full of radicals, zealots, and Marxists. Fact check true. The White House fact sheet states that the move will turn over education to families instead of bureaucracies. Trump and proponents of eliminating the department have long said the agency has failed American students. Fact check true. Remember, the report cards have come out and that both math and reading scores continue to plummet as we continue to invest billions and billions of dollars into this failing bureaucracy known as the Department of Education. Billions and billions of dollars, probably trillions of dollars invested over the years. I don't know. But y'all know this thing started by Jimmy Carter late in the 1970s, I think 78, 79, whatever it is. But since the Department of Education came into existence, scores have been going down. Billions invested, zero results, and actually negative results. Scores are getting far worse, and that's a big issue.
The president was very clear about the fact that he cannot believe the failure we're seeing in our public schools.
That is Tiffany Justice, Moms for Liberty. You've heard her before. She's obviously advocating for the abolishment of the Department of Education. The bottom line is that states would get the money through block grants, and then there would be fewer, if any, strings attached. We would basically get the money. The bureaucracy would be gone. We would get that money, and we could use the money as we see fit.
Parents want more choice. We've seen, on top of academic failure, this toxic soup of SEL and DEI and CRT. The president's taken executive action on those issues, and the governor said, give us more power in the states to be able to meet the needs of our communities, and let's help parents to put them in the driver's seat so they can make the best decisions for their kids.
Oh, and the left is going absolutely crazy on all of this. I've got my favorite. I'm going to revisit one of my favorite audio bites of all time. Coming up next, it is 5:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads.
Looking good so far this morning. No problems as you make your way in this morning on the major roads. 24 is fine this morning. 65, no problems. And you also have no delays on 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Weather today, a high of 60 degrees and cloudy. Thanks for listening to Nashville's Morning News. By the way, like us and subscribe on Facebook. You can listen to us, watch us on X, 997WTN.com. My preferred way is YouTube, of course. You can take the poll there as well. You can watch it anytime, even after we're off the air. You can also check out our podcast, our streaming. We are everywhere. So today is the day the Department of Education is going to, and by the way, it's also going to take literally an act of Congress. It's going to be fought in court. This is only the first step. Joan, does the name Becky Pringle ring a bell?
Pringle. I don't think so.
She is the NEA president, the National Educators of Association president.
Is she as much of a hater as Randy Weingarten is?
She's not only is she a hater, but she's a lunatic.
All the things. NEA, we have to win all the things. All the things. All the things.
All the things.
Our colleagues are depending on us to win all the things. Keep going, NEA. To preserve our democracy, we must win all the things.
Oh, my goodness.
Delegates, we won't go back. We will keep going forward because we are the NEA. We are the NEA. We are the NEA.
Perfectly normal.
Wow.
Someone give her some Advil PM. My goodness.
She's the Howard Dean of her time.
She is she's a freak.
Yeah.
She's an absolute freak. So I wonder how she is feeling this morning. By the way, I don't know if you caught the one line in that freak show of a speech where she said, do it for your colleagues, right? Not the students, but the colleagues. In other words, and she's a union leader, right? National Education, NEA, National Educators Association. So that was a speech, by the way, where she talked about, this was during the election, July of 2024, and she talked about all of these concepts pushing back against political challenges, i.e. Donald Trump, the power of the union, social justice, and all of that DEI BS. But, she really didn't talk about the fact that students these days, many students across America, they're graduating, but they can barely read, they can barely write, and they certainly can't math.
So thank God we have President Trump. He's the voice for parents here in Washington, D.C. Moms don't have a lobby. Public school kids don't have a lobby. And so we're very thankful for him that he's, putting kids first in America.
And back to Tiffany Justice, of course. By the way, as I mentioned, this does need congressional approval. Donald Trump has already made cutbacks within that department that I believe more than likely, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that is being met with legal challenges. Randy Weingarten, of course, is the president. You mentioned her earlier, Joan. Randy Weingarten is the president of the American Federation of Teachers.
And when they cut half the people, it's like evisceration by 1,000 cuts. Yeah. So you want to do this? Have the fight with us in Congress. Let's make sure we get the issues out there. I'm so mad. I'm spitting mad about this because it's hurting the people who can't vote. Children don't vote. Let's not take away their opportunity.
So I love how she says, because she's trying to make it about the kids, right? Let's not forget that Randy Weingarten and all the teachers' unions fought tooth and nail to keep kids out of school during COVID, especially in these Democrat-run cities where kids were suffering mightily from not being in school. And it was all about the power of the unions. We talked all about that at the time. But I just don't believe that the teachers, well, I'm not going to say the teachers unions, they're all about power. They're all about DEI. They're all about, well, all the things that bizarro woman was screaming about from the National Educators Association. I thought this was interesting because she's talking about Randy Weingarten. She's talking about looking out for the kids. The Brookings Institute has a great graph out there, and it shows the literacy rates were going up from 1947 to 1979. Then the Department of Education was formed by Jimmy Carter, and suddenly, if you look at the graph, the literacy rates plummeted. And meantime, do you know how much, take a guess as to how much money Randy Weingarten makes? You know how much Randy Weingarten makes? $600,000.
Woof.
And all these other people in the in her organization also make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it does seem to me like their gravy train is about to end. And we'll see what happens. Again, remember that Trump is going to sign the executive order apparently today. I believe this is a good thing. I believe the states are much better equipped to teach the students with this block grant, the money going to the states, than having to deal with all of the strings and all of the lunacy of the left in dealing with the Department of Education on the federal side. It's got to be approved by Congress. It's going to have legal fights as well. We will see where all this goes. It is 5:20. On Nashville's Morning News, Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom going to tell us about all the things happening. All the things in the news.
And I won't even yell about it. The Education Department, more on that. It's about to become a thing of the past, and we'll tell you more. Also, a standoff outside the CIA headquarters yesterday. We'll tell you how that ended. We've got those stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
525, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to play a piece of audio from Jasmine Crockett. I know. Can I just say that Jasmine, she's becoming great for talk radio? Almost as good as Senator Robert Kennedy, and I've got some great audio from him coming up as well. But there's a big day coming up for the Democrats, and it is March 29th. I'm going to tell you what that day is coming up. But this is Jasmine Crockett talking about what she wants for her birthday.
Politicians. So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes. Listen.
She wants Elon to be taken down.
That's not cheering for America.
That sounds like an act of violence.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Now, as a responsible broadcaster, I'm going to play the entire clip because some people might stop it right there. I'm going to go ahead and play the entire audio bite where she does talk about money and how she's glad that Elon Musk is losing money.
I have learned as I serve on the DOJ Oversight Committee that there is only one language that the people that are in charge understand right now. And that language is money. And so I've been so proud to see us organized behind a cause.
There you go. So that is, and obviously she's calling for some sort of a boycott. But listen to this. On March 29th, this is the headline, the Tesla takedown. Protesters are planning the biggest day of action yet on Jasmine Crockett's birthday of March 29th. They are planning their biggest day of action yet, aiming for 500 demonstrations at Tesla showrooms across the world on March 29th. Organizers said during a mobilizing call on Wednesday, yesterday, they say the protests started at a handful of Tesla locations in early February and has grown to hundreds of locations across the world. Do we have it? I mean, we obviously have a Tesla sales location here somewhere, right? I mean, in Middle Tennessee. I have no idea. Nobody knows. We all work in radio. We have no idea where Tesla has a showroom.
Of course we do.
They
I think
must.
it's right down the road. Honestly, it's like on the same street. I'm
I'm
pretty
seeing
sure.
tons of Tesla charging stations.
Mm-hmm. If I wanted to buy
would
a Tesla,
it be a Tesla showroom?
Yeah, if I wanted to buy a Tesla, where would I buy one?
There is one in Chattanooga.
Okay. I mean, we're talking about an uptick of violence.
There's
We're
one
talking
in Franklin.
about arson, vandalism, violence against Tesla showrooms that, while they say unrelated to the
Wow. There is a Tesla dealership.
It's in Franklin.
Yeah, it's next to the Cool Springs Galleria.
Listen to what how The Verge says this. There have been an uptick in incidents of arson, vandalism, and violence against Tesla showrooms that, while unrelated to the protests, have led to Musk and President Trump labeling them domestic terrorists.
Unrelated?
That's what they're saying.
Oh, my goodness.
This is TheVerge.com, and clearly they're leftist organization, The Verge. Obviously, it's a lefty website because obviously they're related. The Democrats have been calling for just this kind of thing. When Maxine Waters says they're calling for a civil war against Elon Musk, what exactly are they referring to? Duh. It's 5:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning now, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Yeah, this is a big day in Washington, D.C.
President Trump is expected to sign an executive order today aimed at shutting down the Department of Education. The administration has already laid off half the department's staff. Sources say the education secretary will now be directed to dissolve the agency while keeping critical services and programs in place elsewhere. The order comes after Trump vowed to return education authority to the states.
ABC's Andrea Fujii reporting there. Federal funds that support low-income and homeless students will not be cut, according to the administration. A bill dealing with detransitioning has moved on to a House subcommittee here in Tennessee. That bill requires gender clinics to accept funds from Tennessee to perform detransition surgeries. It also requires insurance companies to provide coverage for detransitioning. An hours-long standoff at the CIA headquarters ended yesterday in Virginia with a man being handcuffed and taken away.
The dramatic standoff unfolding just after 9:30 a.m. when police say a man appears at the entrance gate to CIA headquarters wielding a handgun.
Male seen walking near the CIA building, pointing a firearm at his head and towards the building.
Nearby Langley High School put on lockdown as an army of police and CIA security, including SWAT and tactical teams, descend on the scene to confront the suspect, described as a middle-aged white male with wavy hair. Sources telling ABC News Fairfax County police and CIA officials negotiating with the man who they suspected was in a mental health crisis.
That's ABC's Pierre Thomas reporting. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Just one problem this morning. It's in Nashville Village at Bell Road and Smith Springs Road. A crash reported there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom, and KGB is producing today, and I thought this was interesting. So you want to have some fun with Donald Trump in the Oval Office? So I guess he was in there with Laura Ingraham, and this audio is making the rounds where he's talking not only about him, but also Joe Biden. Listen to this.
They get a kick when I'm doing other work and doing a news conference when you had another guy that couldn't name his favorite ice cream. They always used to ask him, what's your favorite ice cream? Vanilla. Oh, great. He's done a press conference, ladies and gentlemen. It was crazy.
Will you talk to him again, do you think?
Yeah, I'll talk
Joe
to him.
Biden?
Sure.
Do you ever call any former president? Do you call any of the former presidents?
Not much.
No.
A lot was made out of the fact that I got along very well with President Obama, right? You saw that.
Yeah, it
And
seems
I did.
so.
I can, I can do things that a lot of people.
You were friends with pretty much all of them.
I just didn't like the job they did. Because it's not about friends. I didn't like the job they did. They let our country down.
There you go. And I love how he's talking about Joe Biden and how they would make fun of the fact that, they would ask him about ice cream and all that kind of stuff. And
the most inept. It seemed like the press could not fall over themselves enough.
Yep.
By asking him about his ice cream.
Well, now, because this is, of course, one of those stories, go woke, go broke.
Yeah.
Ben & Jerry's.
Yes.
The boss there, speaking of ice cream, has been ousted over political activism. Now, everybody knows that Ben & Jerry's, the owners, very, very, I guess they're the founders, very liberal. But it seems like the current Ben & Jerry's, they've just gone over the top. Black Lives Matter and all of these other things, DEI, they've been so supportive of all of those things that the majority of Americans find just silly. And I'm not one for boycotts. I'm just going to tell you, I never really have been. But for me, when it comes to buy ice cream, I would never in a million years buy Ben & Jerry's because I find them the ice cream is a tasty treat, but I do find them very distasteful. Ben & Jerry's has said that its chief executive, David Stever, is that how you say it, Joan? Stever?
I think so.
Psycho.
Stever. They say that he's been removed by the parent company, Unilever, in a growing dispute over the ice cream company's political activism. Again, go woke or go broke. The allegation was part of a legal case filed in a U.S. court by Ben & Jerry's that says that Unilever violated a merger agreement by trying to silence its social mission. It comes a month after the ice cream company accused Unilever of demanding that it stops publicly criticizing U.S. President Donald Trump, and on it goes. A Unilever spokesperson said that it is disappointed that the confidentiality of an employee career conversation has been made public. So,
do you want to know why this is the tipping point here? Because just a few days ago, Ben & Jerry's posted this. Today is National Abortion Provider Appreciation Day. This is a couple of days ago. We stand with abortion providers. So basically, they had an abortion.
Oh my God.
They were basically, I think, they were just basically supporting abortions on their
They
Twitter.
were.
Oh my gosh.
They were advocating for abortions.
Abortion providers. We stand with abortion providers today and every day.
Yeah, okay. When you're when you're advocating for abortion providers, you're advocating for
Right.
abortions.
But again, it's like your ice cream. Chill.
That's exactly right. You're ice cream. Get over it, man. You are ice cream.
Do you remember? I think it was like last year, maybe the year before. They were on 4th of July. They made a post about we're on stolen land, and then the tribe that land is a part of Ben & Jerry's headquarters. They asked for it back, and they never heard back.
I do remember that.
Which is like
We
they make
talked
them the
about that.
biggest hypocrites on planet Earth.
Here's the deal. You can, if you're Ben & Jerry's or any of these woke companies, you can sit here and you can talk a big game, but when it comes right down to it, you really don't mean what you say. I mean, that is, of course, a perfect example when it comes to actual actions. And you see on college campuses, we played this audio too, where you walk around and, people are like, oh, yeah, we're America's on stolen land and this is stolen land and that's on stolen land. And so then you say, okay, well, if we're on stolen land, the interviewer would say to the college student, well, then if we're on stolen land, then you've got to drop out. What? Yeah, if we're on stolen land, then you have to drop out. Why would I drop? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just these people are so incredibly stupid. Speaking of which, I posted a video on my X. It's a video of a college student. I want you to listen to the kind of college students that are going to school these days and how absolutely insane they are. This, believe it or not, in 2025, with all of the conversation of college debt and all of the conversation about having degrees where you can actually make money, I want you to listen to this college student. And it is also kind of a visual because this person just looks like a freak. But anyway, listen.
Hi, I'm Scout. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm an interdisciplinary major at UBC. I'm in my last semester. My primary thematic focus is decolonizing academia and public knowledge systems, and my secondary thematic focus is biocultural and linguistic futurity.
For those who don't know what that means, can you give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, basically what I focus on is the promises that the institution has made and also the emergence of indigenous ways of knowing and being across the disciplines. And I feature in a lot of stuff like language revitalization, or the emergent vitality of languages, rather. And just kind of a bunch of stuff. I've taken courses in over 20 departments, so. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. There you go. Now, UBC is in Vancouver, I guess, British Columbia.
She's not going to be launching any rockets anytime soon.
Joan.
I know.
Joan.
So how hateful of me.
How dare you?
Well, Joan, you gotta
called
believe.
her a she. What is wrong with you?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You got to say they. You know what?
Right.
Then this they thing.
Yeah.
Well, with all of those different pronouns, then they can be a failure with multiple pronouns.
Yes.
They are such a failure. So multiple failures, whatever.
I think
You get a failure, and you get a failure.
Yes.
Everybody gets a failure.
I think we'll be paying they's bills in the future because she's not going to be making any. They won't be making any money in a legitimate job.
I do wonder, like, if you get a resume and that is their whatever her
Their pronouns just in general.
Yeah, pronouns in general. But if you see somebody like that with a resume like that and that's your college degree, would you even go down to investigate this person any further, or are you just like, nope, I can't do that? I mean, even if you're hiring for a call center,
yeah,
I would have a really hard time hiring somebody like that. I just would.
Being a person that's gone through these applications many of times, I have now noticed that later on, like last year, I noticed this too. Is like they make you put your pronouns in there now.
That's just ridiculous.
That's like some of the companies like require you to like. What do you prefer?
I
pronouns?
think LinkedIn doesn't LinkedIn, Joan.
Yeah,
I'm never on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
but
me
isn't
neither.
LinkedIn? They make you put your pronouns in.
I don't have my pronouns on my LinkedIn. I'll check.
No.
I don't.
Yeah,
think
check
so.
LinkedIn.
I think you can refuse.
Okay.
Because then that's wrong.
Because
that's discrimination.
Because just saying your pronouns, like if somebody asks me what my pronouns are, I would say, look at me.
Yeah, I don't have my pronouns in mind. I think that you can put it in there, but I have refused.
Yeah.
I always get excited when you go someplace and they don't ask for pronouns and they only ask you if you're male or female. I was out at the Wellness Institute this week.
Yep.
And when you're, signing the papers, there's only two choices. Are you male or are you female? And that's it.
Dr. Mitch is going to get protests just like Tesla.
Yeah.
By the way,
No, he's gonna get good business.
Yeah.
Well, he does very well thanks to his advertising on WTN. I will just tell you that, moving right along. So I love this on MSNBC. So what have we always talked about? We have always talked about how the media is destroying its own credibility because of their Trump derangement syndrome, right? They make mistakes. They make mistakes all the time. MSNBC had to correct some fake news. Listen.
Before we go, though, last night we reported on excerpts of an interview between the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and an Indian TV news network, in which she said that Trump was good friends with a world leader. We said that world leader was Vladimir Putin, but the full interview shows that Gabbard was referring to Trump and Indian Prime Minister Modi.
Oh, my.
Clear that up.
Oh, my gosh.
They automatically assume that Trump is talking about Vladimir Putin. And by the way, the interview that they're talking about, it's very obvious that they're not talking about Vladimir Putin. So all they had to do was listen to the entire interview, or at least be responsible.
Oh, my.
Is there such thing as Putin derangement syndrome?
PDR?
Do we have to add PDR now to the list?
Sure. There's PDR, Putin derangement syndrome.
EDR.
There's EDR, Elon derangement syndrome.
What would JD Vance derangement syndrome be? Would it be JDR or would it be JDVDR?
Vance derangement syndrome.
Oh, Vance, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or not JDDR?
I have no idea. But whatever it is, if they want to continue on, they can go right on ahead and do that. By the way, a bunch of people sent me, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter or not right now. Or
I saw this.
Whatever. Yeah, so somebody has gone ahead and sent a poster for the, what are they calling it? The day of, now I can't bring it up, of course. The Day of Resistance. Oh,
boy.
March 29th.
Yeah.
And they have, they're planning protests at 500 different Tesla stores or, dealerships across the world. And so here in America, here in Tennessee, they're talking about, do you have it up, JB? JB, oh my gosh. KGB. Ooh. My bad.
We're going to get some letters. I have, you mean the post that we got
the
tagged
post
up?
that somebody sent to me.
I have it here.
Go ahead.
So this was also Chris Hand posted this as well.
Okay.
Leftist, so this is Libs at TikTok's post mainly. Leftist activist group Indivisible in Tennessee is promoting a Tennessee Tesla takedown this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The post from them, the Invisible Tennessee, which is cool. I don't know if they're trying to be cool or not, or mysterious, but whatever. All right, folks, weather looking good for this Saturday. We're going to do this. Saturday, the 22nd, 1 p.m. local time, Memphis, Franklin, Chattanooga, and Knoxville. Multiple locations.
Mm-hmm.
And
so here locally, we're talking about Franklin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tennessee Tesla takedown, because Franklin has the dealership, the one in the area.
Mm-hmm.
I might say, I'm actually like 10 minutes from this place. I might just drive over there and just laugh at them.
Be careful, man. They might be bringing heat. They might be bringing guns because they've been literally shooting Teslas.
All right, I'll drive around. I'll drive from a safe distance and play Proud to be an American.
There is a
that would be funny.
Tesla Takedown Action Network. And they have an event happening tomorrow, Friday, in at the Chattanooga location.
Okay. And what are they going to do? Just like go out there with sign? You never see. Here's the thing: you never know with these people.
Yeah,
they could come out and they could have, they could have those Molotov cocktails. They could end up shooting at said Teslas. You know what's interesting too, by the way.
But let me tell you what they're doing.
Okay.
They on this online call to action. It says Tesla Takedown is a peaceful protest movement. We oppose violence, vandalism, and destruction of property. This protest is a lawful exercise of our First Amendment right to peacefully assemble.
If that's what they want to do, then that's fine.
Gonna put up the
Absolutely.
two fingers of
Yeah.
What was it? Peaceful or
Yeah.
law-abiding?
Mostly peaceful
Mostly
protests.
peaceful protest.
I like how
As
the
Teslas are burning in
the background. Seeing it. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
it's by Robert Rush, who's from Georgia. So it's not even like local. It's not
There's gonna be,
organic.
like, six
it's
people
not.
there.
Yeah, no, there may be more because these people are being paid. If you think that this Action Network is not being funded by George Soros, you're
Of course
crazy.
yes, that's a great point, Joan.
They're
They are
getting
being
money to
paid.
turn out there. These people are being summoned by they know who the disruptive people are, so they're going to call them up or send them an email and say, "Here, I got $500. You show up here, and we'll do it tomorrow."
I've actually got a story about how the Democrats, the Republicans have been having these town halls.
Yes.
And remember the Democrats were like, oh my God, look at all these Republican town halls. People are screaming, right? Remember all that?
Yes.
Well, it turns out the Democrats paying people to go into these Republican town halls and cause a ruckus.
Do you have any evidence of that? I mean, is there something that we know now that
There's a whole story on it. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Excellent.
I'll try to do that in the 6.
I love that.
Also coming up, what is wrong with Tim Walz? Like he
so
needs to
crazy.
Tim Walz needs to stop making himself sort of the arbiter of what is masculine in this country.
Yeah.
He's never thrown a football in his life. I don't know. I don't believe he's a coach. There's no way.
You don't believe that he was a coach?
No way. He probably throws it like 5 yards down the field. That's as far as he can throw
I
it.
bet you Tim Walz throws like a girl.
I didn't want to say it like that, but I agree. Honestly, it would be an insult to a girl how bad he throws a football.
Well, this is Tim.
He
well,
throws
you
like
know
a
what?
they-them.
When you watch him, and I hate to say it like this, but when you watch him, there's video out there. I was watching this on Fox News where there's video of him coming out on stage. And, Joan, you remember this. He's like prancing around.
It's really
Do you know what I mean?
weird.
He's like doing the double hand wave and there's no other way to say it. He's prancing. And he was on, I don't know where this is, but I think my new name for Tim Walz, I don't have time to do it now.
Honestly, Tampon Tim is pretty accurate.
Tampon Tim is pretty accurate, but I've got a new name for him. I don't think I can surpass Tampon Tim. That's really good. And so apropos, of course, he wanted to put tampons in the boys' room at the schools in Minnesota. But I've got a new name for Tampon Tim, and we'll talk about that in the 6 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7, because basically what Tim Walz is now saying is that the Republicans, I've got the audio, Republicans are scared of his masculinity. Yes. Tampon Tim claims that Republicans are scared of his masculinity. So I've got that incredible audio coming up and a whole lot more straight ahead. Very big news day. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom.
Yeah, did you hear this one? Columbia University has blinked. They're giving in. Yeah, they're giving in. I've got that story ahead. Also, Dolly Parton speaking out for the first time about her husband's death. That's coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so I'm not one to talk about hair, but have you seen Michelle Obama's new look, Joan? It's like she's got mouse ears on her head and a tail on the back of her head, like a chihuahua tail or something. I don't know. She's got her hair. What would you describe that hair as? She's got a whole new look with her hair. And it's weird.
Hold on. She's not sleeping with this hair because it's bunched up, okay, up top, but there's one behind her head and then one at the nape of her neck. And that would be the most uncomfortable sleep ever.
I wish we could. Can we not figure out how Chris Hand does his whole visual thing?
Yeah.
We got to figure out how to do that. Do you know how to do that?
Can
KGB?
I hold this up to the camera?
I can find the picture and post it and put it on our stream. We'll do it for the 6 o'clock hour.
All right, but let's learn how Chris does that thing with Mason where they show video, because I mean this is definitely a visual we have got to show folks on Super Talk TV. You can find the post. I just posted it on X. Follow me at Dan Manda Show. I'm going to throw a please out there. Please watch us on YouTube. Like and subscribe as well. Take the Daily Dan poll. We got a lot more. Straight ahead, Tim Walz's new name coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There is a rolling roadblock this morning, and it's traveling down I-24 westbound side. Why didn't they do the eastbound side at this time of the day? It's westbound 24, Old Hickory Boulevard, south exit 62, and traffic is really slow behind it, too. Careful out there. Other news of the day, President Trump makes good on a promise today to turn over control and funding of education to the states.
The Department of Education days could be numbered. Multiple sources tell ABC News President Trump plans to sign an executive order directing Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps permitted by law to dissolve the department she oversees. It follows sweeping cuts to the agency last week, slashing nearly half of the DOE workforce. Curriculum decisions are already handled at state and local levels. Critics say abolishing the education department will hurt underserved students and schools. Congressional approval is still needed to close the department. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
An emotional hearing yesterday in the case of Logan Garver, who's charged with DUI after a crash on I-40 in December, during which his friend, Austin David, was ejected from his truck and then run over by other cars. Austin David's mother making a plea to Garver in court.
I mean, I could have sympathy for you. I could feel bad for you if you would just admit it and, let us try to move on somehow instead of dragging us through this.
Garver's case is being sent to a grand jury. Columbia University reportedly nearing a deal to give in to the Trump administration's demands to restore $400 million in federal funding.
The Trump administration is basically saying that there are certain demands in place to protect Jewish students, also to empower the campus police and increase discipline to students. This is all happening after last year's protests on Columbia University's campus over the war in Gaza, now at times resulting in clashes between pro-Palestinian and Israel supporters. As a result, Columbia's federal funding has recently been canceled by the Trump administration for not doing enough to police anti-Semitism on campus.
That's ABC's Reagan Medji reporting. Dolly Parton has, for the first time, talked about her husband Carl's death 2 weeks ago. In an interview with Knox News, Dolly revealed that Carl suffered before his death, although she didn't say what the cause of his death was. She said, quote, "I am at peace that he's at peace, but that don't keep me from missing him and loving him." Market Numbers Report brought to you now by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A good day on Wall Street yesterday after the Federal Reserve's rate decision.
The Fed's Board of Governors is holding the line on benchmark interest rates at a borrowing range between 4.25% and 4.5%. The panel did indicate yesterday that 2 rate cuts are likely in 2025. That prospect lifted investors' spirits Wednesday. The Dow Jones rose 383 points and was pushing back toward 42,000. The Standard & Poor's 500 regained just over 1%. The Nasdaq Composite added 1.4% on the day.
And that's ABC's Jim Ryan. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Oh, that was nice of T-Dot. There's a rolling roadblock stuck right now, 24 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard, South Exit 62, and it's blocking off the right lane. Big old delay behind it as well. 40 westbound lanes, a crash on the right shoulder. It is blocked off right before Hermitage Avenue and on Briley Parkway in Bordeaux. Southbound side at Centennial Boulevard, exit 26. There's a crash. The right shoulder is also blocked in that area. One more for you. Lebanon Pike at Stewart's Ferry Pike. There is a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Really looking forward to 6:38 when Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation is going to join us. We're going to be talking about what Donald Trump calls rogue judges. Looking forward to the perspective of Hans von Spakovsky and the president saying, look, I don't have the authority or the power to defy a federal judge. And so what do you do? We're going to talk to Hans von Spakovsky about all of that and so much more coming up at 6:38 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Watch us on YouTube, and part of what we've done, we were talking, Joan, at the end of the last hour.
Yeah.
About Michelle Obama's new hairdo. I don't know what this is, but we went ahead. If you're watching on YouTube, KGB apparently has put up the photograph of Michelle Obama's hair, which is useless to you listening on the radio.
I caught her mid-talking, too. It looks awful.
But it's like she's got mouse ears that are sideways on her head. Somebody on the super text line said she looks like she's going to be in the next Star Wars, maybe in the bar scene. And then she's got a little like poodle tail in the back. People are asking on the super text line, is it fake? Because, fake hair is all the fad. Here's what I think is going on. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, I guess KGB has the photo up. So here's what I think is going on. Do you think she purposely did this so that people would talk about her podcast? Because the only thing that people are saying about her podcast, if anything, is that it's terrible.
You know what I'm noticing also? She's in a suit, and like at least a coat. The argument of her looking like a man does not help with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like her argument of being a woman, it's not flattering in the slightest.
Well, like us, watch us, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you would. And yes, we are working on being able to get video like Chris Hand is doing. Chris and Mason do an incredible job. And I believe it's time for KGB to step up. So, totally kidding, KGB.
Can I just draw attention to something?
Yes.
When you click on that video of Michelle Obama, it's an end wokeness video.
Right.
So it automatically goes to the next one when it's finished. Did you look at the next one by any chance?
No, I didn't. What is it?
It's a guy he walks up to a Tesla that is parked, I think it's a Tesla, on a street, and there's palm trees, so it's Florida,
Probably
whatever.
California, yeah.
And he reaches, I am reluctant to explain this, but I will, because I brought it up. He reaches into the back of his pants and then takes his hands and smears it on.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
These people are repulsive.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
It's so awful. So while you're enjoying.
Can you tweet that or put it on your whatever?
Yes, I actually did put the Michelle Obama one up on my Twitter feed as well. And when it runs through, because it's a video, so it's a 6-second video, so it automatically scrolls to the next video. And you'll see it if you just let the Michelle Obama video scroll through. You'll get to really enjoy that next one.
Unbelievably vile. Unbelievably
It's vile. That's the word. It is vile. Oh my goodness. I can't watch it again.
That's what they're doing. That's what the left is doing.
Welcome to your Thursday, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. All right. So you know what my new name for Tim Walz is?
Oh, tell us.
Keep Talking Tim. And the reason I want him to keep talking is because he's saying stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
But I think this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit why they spend so much time on it. No, I'm serious, because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshit on this. Yeah. I'm not putting this in people's grill. I don't know if my identity is not hunting. My identity is not football coaching. My identity is not, a beard and a truck.
So that is Tim Walz, of course, current governor for the state of Minnesota, and Gavin Newsom. And so basically what Tim Walz is saying is that his masculinity scares Republicans. Now, I don't know where in the world he gets that from. I think that, he lives in, the liberal la-la land where they think that this is the kind of thing that is going to resonate with voters. And clearly it's not. I mean, people are literally mocking him these days wherever he goes, because he just looks like and he sounds like a fool. But one of the things that I would say about that is that if you ever notice, people like Tim Walz, people like Gavin Newsom, people like Kamala Harris's husband, what was his name? Dougie?
Dougie, yeah.
Dougie?
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh. Wait, what did you say?
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh. Okay, you did say that. Okay. Yeah. And very good 12-year-old sort of vernacular voice there.
I know. I dig that one up every once in a while.
That's his rapper name, by the way.
Is that his rapper name?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's also forget, of course, obviously the jokes are all there, where old Dougie Fresh beat up a girlfriend and got the nanny pregnant. And to the Democrats, this is, while he was married, by the way. So for the Democrats, this is, and they were, the face of masculinity. But I don't know, can I just ask this question? Gavin Newsom, Keep Talking Tim Walz, why are you even talking about this? This is not what the American people are worried about right now, that you believe that the Republicans are afraid of your masculinity. Oh, please.
Wait, can you say that again?
No. Now, have you ever noticed that people who are constantly reminding us as to how masculine they are, they're not? I mean, look, I'm the first guy to say that masculinity comes in many different forms, but this constant drone of I'm more masculine than everybody else, which is what Tim Walz is doing, is really silly. Because Tim Walz, I don't care whether he's masculine or not, he's an idiot. And his policies helped to destroy Minnesota, and he helped to destroy the campaign of Kamala Harris. And trust me, friends, she didn't need any help. So if you want to keep running around, keep talking, Tim, if you want to keep running around and talking about how your masculinity scares the Republicans, you go right on ahead. But I will tell you that there's absolutely nothing about you that scares Republicans. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. $6:15 as far as your weather for today, your March 20th of 2025, high 60 and cloudy. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. 4702 points out Caitlyn Jenner said that she was more masculine than Tim Walz. I saw that, and that was very funny.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. Here's the other thing. I don't care if you have a beard or not, or if you can fix a truck or not, or if you can load your shotgun or not. Tim Walz needs to shut up. Did you hear what he said about Tesla?
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So
that is, of course, him on stage the other day. And basically, he's rooting for Tesla's demise, like all of these dumb Democrats. Tesla actually, as folks are pointing out, Tesla has hundreds, if not thousands of employees in Minnesota. Also, I guess Minnesota's pension fund has investments in Teslas.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but this is how dumb they are, Joan. This is how dumb they are, and specifically him. Here's the great thing, though. Did you hear how Elon Musk responded to that? Elon Musk responded, sometimes when I need a little boost, I look at the @JD Vance portrait in the White House and thank the Lord. Musk wrote in response to Waltz's post on X, the White House, of course, joined in on the fun and hitting back at Waltz's comment regarding the billionaire's company. When we need a little boost during the day at the White House, we walk around the corner from our office and admire these beautiful portraits. Trump's response team wrote in a social media post, and of course the portraits were of Donald Trump. Senator Ted Cruz, in response to a video of the town hall, called Waltz a small, petty, vindictive, evil bastard that represents today's Democrats well. Do you know, Joan, when I need a little boost, you know what I look at?
What do you look at, Dan?
The Electoral College map.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I need a little... Do you know that my friend Aaron actually... I talked about this. My friend Aaron actually sent me a Christmas ornament of the Electoral College for 2024. We hung it on our tree. I mean, it's great. So we can all, when we all need a little boost, we could just look at whatever it is that the Democrats have failed in, and that can be our little boost for the day. By the way, Ted Cruz also, this is the House Judiciary Committee. Democrats are cheering for the American companies to fail. Disgusting behavior, says the House Judiciary Committee. So also, by the way, disgusting is the fact, as we spoke about in the last hour, that you have companies and people being threatened by the Democrats. They're doxing Tesla owners, which we talked about not only this morning, but also yesterday. So there's a lot going on. And, the Democrats in disarray. Sean Hannity had Robert Kennedy on last night. A great, great interview. And we all love Robert Kennedy, the Republican from Louisiana, the senator from Louisiana. And he just had a lot to say about Chuck Schumer.
Chuck's often wrong. He never makes the same mistake twice. He makes it 5 or 6 times just to be sure. But this time he got it right in supporting our efforts to keep government open. Unless a football coach taught you history, you understand that shutting government down never achieves anything. It just scares people, especially the elderly.
Well, and so we do know that the Republicans avoided the dreaded government shutdown. I love how he says Chuck Schumer is never wrong a second time. He usually does it 5 or 6 times just to make sure that he gets it right. A crazy thing is, from a political standpoint, Chuck Schumer actually did do the right thing. Keeping the government open because, as I've said many times now, there would have been no debating that it would have been a Democrat-led shutdown.
Having said that, many Democrats are angry at Schumer. Among them right now, we've all seen the news. He's about as popular as chlamydia. But that to me says as much about the Democratic Party as it does about Senator Schumer. What it tells me is that the loon wing of the Democratic Party is firmly in control.
Yep, he's absolutely right. By the way, this is Senator John Kennedy, not Robert Kennedy. But you see, Chuck Schumer, he's supposed to be the adult in the room, and obviously Schumer blew it. He blew it on The View the other day, of course, when he said that Americans were greedy and they wanted to keep more of their tax dollars. And I really do believe that this is Chuck Schumer, and what he is doing is he is shooting his career in the foot.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay.
Good.
I love the music, the career-ending music that they were playing. You know, they should have actually had clown music playing. Here's more from Senator Kennedy.
Now, that's great for the Republican Party, but it's bad for America. These people are deeply weird. Republicans' secret plan for dealing with the Democrats is called Operation Let Them Speak.
Yep.
But that's good for our party, but it's bad for America. And I think Schumer did the right thing.
All right, so there you go. And you've got Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana really sticking up for Chuck Schumer. He's no fan of Chuck Schumer, but he's also clearly no fan of the Democrat Party. But as he said, Operation Let Them Speak. When your enemy is basically destroying themselves by being themselves, then by all means, knock yourselves out. It is 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Hey, Joan.
Hey there. So we will take a look this morning at the guy who has been linked to the college student who went missing on Dominican Republic. Well, turns out he has just been set free. What's going on there? We'll tell you about it. Also, Starbucks gets some big competition. We'll tell you who it is and how you can get a hold of it. That's coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.622 on Nashville's Morning News. By the way, Joan, I love this. 1497 says, Dan's little boost is listening to Marsha Blackburn say, well, Dan. That's actually funny. I did think about putting that on my phone, and then when the Blackburn people call me, that would be their ringtone.
That would be the ringtone. That's very funny.
I know, right? If only I could actually figure out how to do that kind of a thing.
You just have to ask the kids, like maybe your son.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Anyway, 623, Nashville's Morning News. Spring rebate madness is here at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They have a lot of rebates going on right now. Bottom line is Busy Bee wants to save you money. A mini split 17 SEER or a heat pump 17 SEER, that is an $800 rebate. Heat pumps 15 and 16 SEER, $500 rebate. Duct sealing or repair, that is a $300 rebate. So many ways to save with my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You join the Beehive Club today, you're going to get a $50 rebate on your spring and fall tune-up, and that also means that you've already saved enough money to pay for the Beehive membership for the year. They'll even file the rebate so you don't have to. Now, there's all kinds of benefits to being in the Beehive Club. Check them all out at their website. It is busybeehvac.com. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call them at 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. busybeehvac.com. 627, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Hans von Spakovsky is coming up at about 6:36. We're going to talk about all those rogue judges that are stopping President Trump at every turn. Again, details with the Heritage Foundation's Hans von Spakovsky is coming up every night at homework time. I thank the Lord for Xfinity Internet. We can stay connected in my house with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed we need, and you can too. You know that I always do out-of-market shows, basically shows in other cities. I do all my show prep, all my commercial production, all that stuff down in my basement. It is all powered by Xfinity. All the while, Amy's working from home as well. Riker's doing his homework and gaming as well. All of that is going on with rock-solid internet from Xfinity. And by the way, if there are issues, Xfinity has 24/7 customer service here for you whenever you need it with in-home Wi-Fi support. And if you're on the go, you can stay connected with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. So get the best Wi-Fi for your life, whether it's doing homework with the kids or work for the paycheck. Rock-solid internet is only a phone call away with Xfinity. To get started, call 1-800-XFINITY, online Xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details.
Good morning. It's now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Couple of spots this morning in trouble, and one is right on 24, the westbound lanes in Smyrna. Just before Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66, it's a crash, and the left shoulder is blocked off. Big delay behind it. Also 65 southbound. This is in Talbot's Corner, right at Trinity Lane. There's a crash, and the left shoulder also blocked off there. And we've got more in traffic and weather right after the news. Well, the National Weather Service admits that, yes, its radio tower in Shelbyville is out of service, and it has been so since October. Channel 4 says it's causing a lot of people in Rutherford County to have radio silence in times of severe weather, including this man in Murfreesboro. His name is Doug Bowen.
I mean, I could have sympathy.
The National Weather Service saying that the other radio towers in the area should prevent any large dead zones, but people need to try tuning their radios into other stations to get a signal. It's also important for people to have more than one way to get emergency alerts. Well, the man who was linked to the disappearance of a college student in the Dominican Republic has now departed the country. Joshua Reby is his name. He was last person seen with Sudishka Kananke before she vanished.
The university is facing a deadline to agree to 9
And that is not the right audio either. ABC's Ariel Reshef there. Reby was never considered a suspect in that case, and he did cooperate with investigators. The Kaneki family has now acknowledged that Sudishka tragically drowned. And as Starbucks continues to struggle, a new coffee chain has just bought its signature low-cost drinks to the U.S. It's China's Luckin Coffee, and has just set up shop in New York City, the first one there. Its signature coffee runs $2 to $3 a cup. And that compares to Starbucks $6 to $7 coffee cups. Starbucks has been struggling with lower foot traffic and financial issues recently, reducing also the number of drinks on the menu. Also, they laid off more than 1,000 employees recently. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, I think I would, because everybody knows that I'm a big coffee fan.
Yeah. Would you go?
I don't think I would go to a Chinese-run coffee place.
Yeah.
I just don't. I am curious, though, how it tastes.
They're not going to, have something on their advertising that says, hey, we're from China. They'll do just like, Temu does. And what's the other one? Shine. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. These are all online companies. But yeah, I knew. Is it Temu, whatever it is?
Temu, yeah.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll see if they end up coming to Middle Tennessee anyway. It is 6:33. Dan Mandis here for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Now, listen, they're experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. We had all that massive rain, I guess, last night. I barely slept through it, but we did have a lot of rain. So you've got to go down into your basement, your crawl space, check your waterproofing, make sure that you don't have moisture down there. And if you do, you got to call my friends at United Structural Systems. I'm an actual client. I've used them several times. I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers, and listen to their recent review on Google. The guy says USS was highly professional. The crew was phenomenal from start to finish. They treated his home as if they were working on their own home, and he gives United Structural Systems 5 stars all the way. USS, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done, and you are a satisfied customer. They can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS 615-488-7855, USSTN.com. .635, Nashville's Morning News. When I first started thinking about lens replacement to treat my cataracts, I was nervous. I had all kinds of concerns running through my head. Was it painful? How long is the downtime? I've also heard a lot of myths like you'll still need glasses or the results are not permanent. But during my initial consultation with Dr. Horn at Vision for Life, he took the time to answer all my questions. He did address all of my concerns and, yes, those common myths as well. He did explain, and it is true, it is what I experienced. It is a quick 5-minute procedure. Most patients feel little to no discomfort. Recovery times are really fast, and many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. I'm at 20/20 vision. Dr. Horn tailored a plan specific to my needs and my goals. He can do the same thing for you. Call them at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com.
Okay, it is blocked off. The left shoulder is blocked off this morning on 65 southbound lanes at Trinity Lane. There's a crash there on the shoulder. Also in Smyrna, 24, the westbound lanes just before Sam Ridley Parkway. That also is an accident scene, and that crash is on the left shoulder. You've got some problems, Briley Parkway, an injury crash right out there at the airport at Valte Boulevard. In Bordeaux, Briley Parkway southbound at Centennial Boulevard, there's a crash and the right shoulder remains blocked off. Antioch, watch out for an accident. It's on Hobson Pike, north of Hamilton Church Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
637, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's get right to the Newsmaker hotline. Say hello to Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation. And our guest, Hans, always great to have you on. You are legal analyst, among many other things, at the Heritage Foundation. So one of the things that we're all talking about is these judges. Donald Trump calls them rogue judges that are preventing him from doing what the American people voted for him to do. Now, yesterday was a really interesting dynamic because last couple of days, because President Trump is asking that some of these folks, of course, be impeached. And then John Roberts from the Supreme Court comes back and said, no, there is an appellate review process for that. So a federal judge can be impeached for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Talk about that process.
Well, look, the grounds for impeachment are whatever the House of Representatives say they are. But the Chief Justice is correct that in the entire history of the United States, no judge has ever been impeached for something other than committing a crime. You know, there have been more than a dozen federal judges impeached. It's been for things like bribery, even sexual assault, those kind of things. No one's ever been impeached for making bad decisions. You know, folks have pointed to an 1804 case where a judge was making bad decisions, but it turned out it was because he was mentally insane, and he was impeached and then convicted and removed in the Senate. Now, look, Roberts is correct about letting the appeals process work to get to take care of hopefully these bad decisions. Yeah. But the problem I've got with Chief Justice Roberts is that he had a chance to do something about these out of control rogue judges. And let me tell you, make it very clear. These district court judges who are issuing these injunctions, they're acting outside their authority, and they are not acting in according to the law. The president is absolutely right about that. But look, 2 weeks ago, Chief Justice had a chance to do something about this. There was an emergency appeal before the court in a case called Department of State versus AIDS Vaccine Advocacy, and you had a Manhattan federal judge, district court judge, say, oh, I'm issuing an order, the $2 billion that USAID has not paid to this group, you will pay it within 36 hours. Now, that judge had no authority to do it. And yet, what did Roberts do? He and Amy Coney Barrett joined the three libs in a 5-4 decision and said, no, we're not going to stay that decision. We're going to let it work itself out. Justice Alito was so shocked by the behavior that he wrote a scathing dissent, joined by the other three conservative justices, saying that he was stunned that the court would allow a single district court judge to take such an unauthorized action and to order the government to pay out $2 billion, which they probably wouldn't get back. He should have stepped in. Roberts should have stepped in. They should have stopped what was happening, and that might have helped stop what's going on in these other courts around the country.
Were you surprised at Amy Coney Barrett?
Well, yes. I think, unfortunately, as the newest justice, she was following the lead of the Chief Justice, and I think that was a huge mistake. She should have joined the other four dissenting justices, which were, Alito, led by Alito and Thomas, and Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch. She should have joined them. That was the right decision to make.
So the president, of course, now saying this morning he does not have the authority or the power to defy a court order. So all of these things that Donald Trump wants to do is getting stopped. Really, the only answer that he has, the only thing that he can do is take it to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court decides that they're going to side with the lower court, then that thing, whatever that thing is, that policy, that executive order that Donald Trump signed, that's not going to happen, right? There's no other choice. There's no other option for the president.
That is correct, unless he decides to do what Joe Biden did. You know, it's amazing to me, all this criticism of Trump, and the left was silent when, remember, Joe Biden, after the U.S. Supreme Court said student loans, you don't have any power to forgive student loans, Joe Biden said, well, I'm doing it anyway. And nobody talked about a constitutional crisis then. So far, Trump actually is more of a law-abiding president than Joe Biden ever was.
Well, you know, that was going to be my very next question, which is Joe Biden found a way around the Supreme Court. Is there a way for Donald Trump to do the same thing?
Look, I don't recommend that. I don't like what these judges are doing. I think that's a real problem. But I think the president needs to follow the law, even when it's wrong. But look, they're doing this the right way. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is being very aggressive and very vigorous in appealing every one of these decisions, including doing something that the Justice Department was reluctant to do before, which is filing ethics complaints against judges. They just did that against Judge Reyes. Judge Reyes is can I call her an angry lesbian? Because that's the way she comes across. She's the one that just issued the order against the U.S. military saying, no, you can't keep transgender soldiers out of the military ranks.
Yeah.
Her 100-page order is one of the nuttiest opinions I've ever read. You know, she doesn't cite the law, she cites Broadway plays, literally, for her authority to do that. And they have filed an ethics complaint against her because her behavior in the courtroom, even questioning the religious beliefs of the DOJ lawyer who was arguing the case, were unethical and a complete violation of the Code of Judicial Ethics. So they are being really aggressive in fighting back, and that's the way they ought to be.
Hans von Spakovsky is joining us. And Hans, coming up, Ron DeSantis had an interesting thought, and what he wants to do is he wants Congress, apparently, to take some action against these particular judges by changing the law. We'll talk about that straight ahead. 6:45, time to check the roads briefly on WTN. Weather today, a high of 60 and cloudy. Okay, so this is what Ron DeSantis said. He posted this on X. Congress has the authority to strip jurisdiction of the federal courts to decide these cases in the first place. The sabotaging of President Trump's agenda by resistance judges was predictable. Why no jurisdiction stripping bills teed up at the onset of this Congress, DeSantis wrote in a Wednesday post on X. And so he basically is saying, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, can Congress actually strip jurisdiction of these federal courts to decide these cases?
Yes. I mean, he could. They can. Remember, if you look at the Constitution, the only court that is mentioned is the Supreme Court, and whatever other courts Congress creates. So these federal district courts, they're not in the Constitution. They're not required by the Constitution. They are a creation of Congress through federal law. So federal law can set up whatever rules they want on them. The only thing I would caution people on the idea of stripping their ability to look at executive orders is, look, that would have been a real problem during the Biden administration. Yep. And the best example I can give you is, remember, conservative groups went to court on behalf of members of the Navy SEAL teams when Joe Biden directed that if they didn't get the COVID vaccine, they couldn't be part of the military. And folks went to court, and they eventually got a court order in their favor against Joe Biden. And that would not have been possible if the federal courts had been stripped of the ability to look at executive orders.
Hans, it seems to me like the Democrats, though, are setting a really bad precedent because
they are
literally everything Trump wants to do. And it's like they've got a big Rolodex of judges, and they just start flipping through the Rolodex every time Donald Trump wants to do something. And so I think that the Trump administration and Republicans are probably thinking, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and in the next 4 years, we're going to install all of these district judges, and we're going to do the same thing when the Democrats finally get behind the Resolute desk again, because it does seem like a bad precedent to set because these judges are literally running the country.
Well, look, I agree with that. And I understand why DeSantis proposed this. And look, it's not a bad idea. It has drawbacks. Another proposal, I actually made this 8 years ago, is to say that any kind of lawsuit, like all of these suits, remember, we're getting decisions from a Manhattan judge. We're getting bad decisions from a judge in Northern California. What the heck authority do they think they have over for example, USAID located in Washington? One way to split the baby here and perhaps stop this is to say anytime you sue the federal government over, for example, executive order, you have to sue in Washington, D.C., in the District of Columbia. You can't sue elsewhere in the country. And the case will be handled not by one federal judge, but by 3 federal judges or perhaps 5 federal judges, so that you get a spread of judges from different presidents on the case. Because as I think the president pointed out, 92% of the injunctions issued have all come from judges appointed by, gosh, what a surprise, Biden, Clinton, or Obama.
Exactly. All right, Hans, that's all the time we have. Always great to have you on the program. We always learn so much, and thank you once again for joining us. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7 o'clock. Joan, what do we got?
Dan, we'll tell you about the new idea to keep the border secure and hold those illegal immigrants. Also, the Real ID deadline is coming up. Do you have yours? We've got those stories coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I need another extension, Joan.
You may not be able to get one, Dan.
So just when is the deadline?
Come on, it's coming up in the news.
Okay, if I miss it, it's your fault because at the top of the hour, I'm getting some coffee. Okay,
I will call you to your attention.
Thank you. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. Listen, if you're thinking about proposing, my friends at Brentwood Jewelry can help you pop the question. Let them help you take the stress out of selecting that perfect engagement ring. That is a lot of pressure. Now, what they can do is they can help you find a beautiful ring in your ideal budget. You can browse their incredible selection of one-of-a-kind rings, or you can talk with their custom ring specialists. They can custom design a ring for you to create a stunning ring as remarkable as your loved one. Now, did you know that only 1 in 4 men actually involves their partner when purchasing an engagement ring? Nearly a third of women say that they would prefer to help pick it out. Clearly, guys, you need help. Brentwood Jewelry is here to help you. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Online anytime. It's BrentwoodJewelry.com. 6:56, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. If you would throw me a bone, go, even if you don't even ever watch us on YouTube, go like and subscribe to the channel just because, you get this show for free. And you can also take the Daily Dan poll. Now, today, we have a really good, outstanding, Joan, controversial poll that has everybody talking.
Puppies or kittens?
No, but boy, that'd be a great poll.
Can we do that now?
Probably better than the poll we currently have.
Yes.
Which is, to the current poll, is do you equate the Tesla protests with the Bud Light protests that Republicans engaged in a couple of years ago? Because you do have some people on the left saying, well, and I'm going to play the audio in the next hour, well, remember, the Republicans went after Bud Light. There is a huge difference between literally the peaceful protests against Bud Light and what is going on with Tesla, where they are shooting Teslas. I don't know if they've set any on fire yet, but certainly that's coming. They are going after, they're doxing Tesla owners, where they say, these are the people across America, every single Tesla owner, this was a story yesterday, was doxxed by these lunatics on the left. And basically, the Democrats are encouraging violence against Tesla owners. And so there's a bit, if you don't see the difference between what the Democrats are doing to Tesla, which, by the way, as Christy said on the Super Text line at 615-737-9986, that Democrats threatening to or trying to ruin an electric car company, not on her bingo card this morning, but that is exactly what's going on. March 29th is supposed to be a big, day of something or another where they're going to go after 500 Tesla dealerships across the world. And so on the 29th, which I guess is that on, I don't know what day of the week that is, but on the 29th of March, they're going to be going after these Tesla dealerships across the world, including the 4 here in Tennessee. You got Chattanooga, you got your Memphis, and you got one in Franklin, right, near Cool Springs, I guess. And I forget where the 4th one is, but
the 29th is also a Saturday, by the way.
Okay, that's a Saturday.
I'll be too busy celebrating Jasmine Crockett's birthday.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got your present right here. Anyway, so...
attaboy, Dan. That makes me proud of you.
I was going to do it in a Philly Joan accent, but
You're letting Joan influence you too much.
I love it.
I didn't think that I could pull off...
Here, you want to practice?
He's going to he's going to have an accent by the end of this.
I got your gift right here.
I got your present right here, buddy.
See, she sounds way tougher. You know what? When next to you, I sound like Tim Waltz. Moving right along. So that is our long-winded way of saying like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel as well. More and more people, bizarrely, are watching every day. Don't know why, but thank you. And what is the poll? How is the poll? Are people equating the two or no?
90-10 to no. So 90% say no. This is very different.
Clearly very different. Well, actually, Robbie Starbuck, who is the king of, protests, peaceful protests, and deciding with your wallet, he is actually online now pointing out the absurdity of the Democrats trying to equate what he did with Target and Walmart and all of these other places and the violent protests that are going on right now against Tesla. Got a lot more straight ahead. It's Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, drivers. Here is a big old headache for you this morning. It's on 840. The westbound lanes are now closed. Veterans Parkway to Almaville. a crash in that area this morning. The crash is just before Almaville Road. That's exit 193. And again, 840 westbound closed. Veterans Parkway up to Almaville Road. In the news, reports say that the Pentagon is evaluating plans to take control of big patches of land along the southern border to create a buffer zone between the U.S. and Mexico. That would also give troops an area to temporarily hold illegal immigrants. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reports from Washington.
The Washington Post reports the land would initially be in New Mexico, then possibly stretch to California. It comes as the White House escalates its attack against federal judge James Boasberg. Boasberg is warning of consequences as he considers whether the administration defied his ruling when it deported alleged Venezuelan gang members last weekend. Boasberg said the administration has not provided enough evidence to justify using the Alien Enemies Act without due process.
Judge Boasberg, by the way, has extended the deadline until noon today for the administration to provide more details about the deportations. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell apparently wants property tax appraisals every other year instead of the traditional every 4 years. That would mean more frequent tax increases for property owners. Right now, property tax appraisals are underway, and Metro Council member Courtney Johnston tells WTN's Matt Murphy what she is expecting from O'Connell's budget.
Yes, and just to put it into perspective, my over-under on the percentage increase is 20%.
The mayor must submit his budget by the end of next month. Waiting in line at the DMV has never been fun, but wait times are getting longer now as the deadline approaches for the enhanced Real ID that'll be required for travel in the U.S.
DMVs around the country are packed as people line up for hours to get their Real ID. What's a Real ID? It's a new form of identification conceived by Congress after 9/11 that requires more of your personal information to be verified. Beginning on May 7th, if you're 18 or older, you'll need either a passport or a Real ID compliant document to fly domestically within the U.S. If you are able to get an appointment for your Real ID, be sure to bring the right documents. Requirements vary by state.
That's ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting. Now, these appointments are so valuable that some people have been scalping them. They're making the appointment and then selling the appointment online. That, by the way, is illegal. Market Numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got stock futures slipping here after yesterday's rally. Dow futures are down 130. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, got another reminder here that 840 westbound between Veterans Parkway and Almaville Road closed off this morning. Got a pretty serious crash there. Another crash in Antioch. It's on Murfreesboro Pike at Mount View Road, and one involving injuries. Briley Parkway right out at the airport at Vultee Road. And a crash in Smyrna. It's on 24, the westbound side, Sam Ridley Parkway exit 66, and the left shoulder is blocked off there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up, this issue of more and more illegal aliens driving semi-trucks and killing Americans is becoming more prevalent. We are going to talk about that later on this morning here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you folks remember Rick Wilson? Now, Rick Wilson is supposedly a conservative, I should say Republican, and he is the founder of Intrepid Media. And people say that he is a Republican. He used to consider himself a Republican, but really what he is, what Rick Wilson is an anti-Trump Republican, which makes him, in my opinion, a Democrat. But I want to remind you of what Rick Wilson said way back in 2015 when he was talking about Donald Trump.
And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. And that's a fact.
So that was Rick Wilson, put a bullet in Donald Trump. And that is something that he said, never apologized for it, never put it in any kind of a context. He never, as far as I know, said, well, I was speaking, metaphorically. I meant politically. No, that is what he said. Now, Rick Wilson has posted a meme, "Kill Tesla, save the country." Elon has a weak spot, attack. That is what Rick Wilson has posted. I have gone ahead and reposted that on my X feed if you want to check it out. And I got to tell you that the more that these Democrats are doing what they're doing, the more I think that they're losing America. And we're talking at the end of the last hour about what's going to go on Saturday, March 29th, where they're going to go after, protest 500 Tesla dealerships across the country. And we'll have to see what happens here in the state of Tennessee. But here's the thing. They're already dying on the vine, not only politically, but also when you look at the initiatives that they support, the initiatives and the policies that they don't support, as has been well discussed on Nashville's Morning News and other shows here on WTN. When you are so anti-Donald Trump, then you are putting yourself in a position where you are for or supporting the worst people in the world, and that is, of course, Trende Aragua and MS-13 gang members, and that is exactly what's been going on. Speaking of which, did you hear what happened with the FBI? This is actually great news. Kash Patel has announced the arrest of one of the 10 of the FBI's most wanted. As a matter of fact, they've actually been on a roll. This is the headline from Fox News. Kash Patel says the FBI has captured its third most wanted fugitive since Donald Trump took office. And he says, let good cops be good cops. So I would like to see the Democrats have a problem with Kash Patel and the FBI getting the third most wanted fugitive now. And I believe this guy, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe this guy was an illegal alien. This is from Fox News. The FBI has captured its third fugitive from the 10 most wanted fugitives list since Donald Trump took office on January 20th. In a post on X on Tuesday night, Patel said the FBI's success in bringing down some of America's most wanted is not an accident. You let good cops be good cops. He says when you let good cops be good cops, this is what happens. This administration is giving the new FBI and the Attorney General's office, AG Bondi, the resources to get the job done, and we will not stop. He also praised the Department of Justice and Attorney General Pam Bondi for their work as well. Patel did not provide any details on the newest arrest, but it comes hours after he announced the arrest of alleged MS-13 key senior leader, Francisco Javier Roman Bardales, who was taken into custody in Mexico on Monday and will be extradited into the United States. The FBI was offering a $250,000 award or reward for information on this guy prior to his arrest. And you know what's going on. Part of this is Trump is getting Mexico's help. That's because of the tariffs, right? So all these stories sort of blend into one overarching theme, which is when Donald Trump says that the United States was not respected in the 4 years of Joe Biden, he is absolutely right. And so this is obviously another victory for Donald Trump. This is one of those stories that I don't think a lot of the media will cover, but I will, because it is just emblematic of Donald Trump and the good that he is doing. And so we'll continue to talk about that and so much more. You know, for the last couple of days, one of the big issues that has been out there has been the disarray within the Democrat Party. There was a story, and I think this is great, actually. There was a story about how you have all of these Republican town halls, and the Democrats had this talking point. Remember this? Democrats had this talking point where they said, Republicans, they're doing town halls and people are rebelling. They're yelling at the Republicans holding the town halls. Well, now it turns out that you actually have the Democrats that are hiring, paid agitators to go into these town halls and have all kinds of ruckus, all kinds of yelling and screaming and going after the Republicans and pretending that they're Republicans, like that they're angry with Donald Trump, when the reality is that it's all just a ruse. And by the way, this is what the Democrats do. David Sachs has a great piece. It is on X, but he is commenting on a piece in The Hill. And the headline is this: "The truth is finally coming out about the Ukraine war. The author explains why Donald Trump is right about Ukraine. The war was completely unnecessary," which we all do know. Biden and Zelensky played significant roles in provoking and escalating this war, and Western media had their accountability in all of this as well. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. (7:15) Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather goes, high of 60 today and cloudy. This is the headline from Fox News. House Democrats staged coordinated town halls on GOP colleagues' turf, and they're talking about how this is indeed part of the game. So the Democrats are trying to sort of formulate all of this anger and all of this angst when the reality is that Donald Trump supporters, what they're really angry about is their lawfare against the current Trump administration. This is an exclusive from Fox News. The Democrat National Committee, the DNC, is putting up billboards in 9 competitive House districts that call out Republican representatives whom the Democrats charge are refusing to hold town halls with their constituents. The launch of the billboards, shared first with Fox News this week, comes as the DNC teams up with the Association of State Democratic Committee and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committees to host what they are calling People's Town Halls. The in-person public events are being held this week during the congressional recess in House districts with Republican representatives the Democrats consider vulnerable in next year's midterm elections when Democrats aim to win back the majority of the chamber. We'll see how that goes. But the DNC says the billboards will appear in the districts of Republican representatives, and they go through a whole bunch of these folks. But they talk about how they are trying to usurp and gain these House seats in the House of Representatives with Republicans that they believe are vulnerable. The moves this month by the Democrats follow the outbreak last month of eruptions and protests at town halls held by some Republican lawmakers and, I will say, paid for by the likes of George Soros. We'll get into that straight ahead. But the other thing that I find interesting is that they're ignoring all of the anger that is actually going on in Democrat town halls. Now, I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you've heard this, but there's some great video out there of Democrats and their town halls, and they don't look good. They don't look good for the Democrats because you have people. We all know what's going on within the Democrat Party, right? There's all kinds of fighting about how they should respond to Donald Trump. This is real anger from a real Democrat, and it is at a town hall for a congressional Democrat. Listen to this.
It's not that you're in the minority. It's that you aren't even working together on a shared strategy. And that is failure. So to be clear, Congressman, the message you should clearly take to your colleagues from your constituents is this. We are not interested in hearing that you are in the minority. We know that. We want you to show some of the backbone and strategic brilliance that Mitch McConnell would have in the minority.
Oh, boy.
Right. We want you to show fight, and you are not fighting.
So there you go. And isn't that the problem with the Democrat Party right now? Is that somebody within that party has got to figure out what the term fight means. Because it does seem to me like they've got all of these judges out there that are clearly Democrats. One of the things we spoke to Hans von Spakovsky in the 6 o'clock hour. I did not have the opportunity to ask him how he feels about the judges, like Boasberg, for example. Remember we talked about this, where his wife has given all kinds of money to Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, and she's bashed Donald Trump on the socials and out in public. And so not real shocking that this leftist judge is trying to stop Donald Trump. And he has stopped Donald Trump, and it'll go on up to the Supreme Court. So I guess the question is for the Democrats, what exactly does the word fight mean? Now, this is a battle that, of course, does continue within the Democrat Party. I was talking to someone the other day, and part of their problem is that the Democrats are listening to the wrong people. Instead of listening to their constituents back home, which is somebody that I just played, they listen to their liberal elite commentators, of course, like we see and hear on The View.
I think what you fight on matters, too. And I think, again, that this was a fight that needed to happen, and it didn't happen because of Chuck Schumer. If you think about it, Republicans would have had to own that government shutdown. It's what they have control of everything, and it would have been squarely on their backs. And I am not alone in this opinion.
Obviously, again, that is Sunny Hostin from The View. And I don't think that she understands is that the Republicans wanted to keep the government open. She's lying. That is clearly a lie. But she wanted to keep the Schumer wanted to keep the government open just like the Republicans did. I mean, the Democrats, let's be honest, the Democrats would have been doing the Republicans a favor by shutting down the government. And so to me, Schumer did do the right thing. Of course, then we all know what Schumer did. He went on The View and he did the whole stupidity about Republicans and the American people being, quote unquote, greedy because they wanted to keep more of their tax dollars. Remember this career ender from Chuck Schumer.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Yep. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay,
good.
So you've got the ladies on The View saying, please, shut up already. You're blowing it. And he did blow it. He absolutely did. I think that Schumer was right, of course, politically speaking, in keeping the government open, as were the Republicans. But then he goes on and he says that to try to save his political skin because all these Democrats are angry with him. And he just absolutely made a fool of himself. It is 7:22. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, the official doging of the education department takes place today. We've got details. Also, a man with a gun at the CIA. We'll tell you how a standoff there ended yesterday. Those stories coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Joan, can I ask you a question?
Okay.
So when that promo runs, when Mr. Big Voice Announcer says Chris Hand is the only good-looking host on WTN.
Do you take offense?
I'm wondering if I actually don't, because I know I'm not that good-looking, like at all.
Oh,
but
come
I do
on.
wonder if all the other hosts like take umbrage to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you're in radio, you need thick skin.
Oh, I've got thick skin,
Yeah.
which is why I don't care what Mr. Big Voice Announcer says. But I'm just saying.
You know, but you bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
So there must be like a little bit of
Maybe a
getting
little
under your
bit.
skin.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. 7:20. I really don't care. 7:23 on WTN. Listen, my vision has been getting worse for years, and I knew that I needed to make a change. Deciding where to go for vision correction, it can be really complicated. It does take research. When I was thinking about it, I started asking around. I started looking online. One name kept coming up, Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, their reviews, they are incredible, with many people sharing life-changing stories about their procedures. Dr. Horn has been selected by his peers as one of the best physicians, one of the best eye surgeons, and one of the top 250 premier cataract surgeons in America. And by the way, most recently as well, he's been voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Now, after learning all of this and discussing lens replacement with Dr. Horn, I knew that I had to take the leap. Of course, as you know, I have. Look, Mom, no glasses. If you watch on Super Talk TV, you know that I have been without glasses for, I think it's been about 7 weeks now. And I can see great. I've got 20/20 vision. It was easy. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. As a matter of fact, it wasn't bad at all. And Dr. Horn, in that first initial meeting, really put my mind at ease. So if you're thinking about lens correction, vision correction surgery, call Dr. Horn at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online, visionforlife.com. 726, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here. And listen, spring is finally officially here. Summer, of course, will follow. What big events do you have planned? Whether it's a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding, Easter's coming up, maybe graduation. There's a lot of reasons to call my friends at Nashville Tent and Awning. They can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere. Now, they've been around since 1884. These folks are a Nashville institution, and they've worked with the likes of the Titans, Vanderbilt, and Grand Ole Opry. Now, they are one of the top companies in Nashville. Think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so that you can enjoy it even when it gets really hot. Now, if you've got an event for work coming up, they can also help you there with a tent or an enclosure. Nashville Tent and Awning. They've got awnings for any style of building that will improve the look and feel of your home or office. Get some visuals and check it out online at their website, ntaco.com. ntaco.com, as I like to say. 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Solid craftsmanship built to last since 1884. Nashville Tent and Awning. $7:29, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, coming up, scurrilous accusations from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson against the Democrats. That story for you coming up. Also, we do have that story all started at about 7:40 or so. We're going to talk about illegal aliens driving trucks and killing Americans. I covered this earlier this week. There's an update to that story as well. Lot ahead right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Looks like things are improving on 840 this morning in Almaville. Westbound now is just very slow going with a crash pushed off to the shoulder at Almaville Road, exit 47. The roadway's been reopened now. We'll have more in traffic in just a minute. There's a big day in Washington, D.C. today.
President Trump is expected to sign an executive order today aimed at shutting down the Department of Education. The administration has already laid off half the department's staff. Sources say the education secretary will now be directed to dissolve the agency while keeping critical services and programs in place elsewhere. The order comes after Trump vowed to return education authority to the states.
ABC's Andrea Fujiai. Federal funds that support low-income and homeless students will not be cut. A bill dealing with detransitioning has moved on to a House subcommittee here in Tennessee. That bill requires that gender clinics accept funds from Tennessee to perform perform detransition surgeries. It also requires insurance companies provide coverage for detransitioning. An hours-long standoff at the CIA headquarters in Virginia ended yesterday with a man being handcuffed and taken away.
The dramatic standoff unfolding just after 9:30 a.m. when police say a man appears at the entrance gate to CIA headquarters wielding a handgun.
Male seen walking near the CIA building, pointing a firearm at his head and towards the building.
Nearby Langley High School put on lockdown as an army of police and CIA security, including SWAT and tactical teams, descend on the scene to confront the suspect, described as a middle-aged white male with wavy hair. Sources telling ABC News Fairfax County police and CIA officials negotiating with the man who they suspected was in a mental health crisis.
That's ABC's Pierre Thomas. Stock futures this morning are on the downside after yesterday's big rally. We've got Dow futures minus 166, NASDAQ futures losing 116. The S&P futures are down 25. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:32 on Nashville's Morning News. You know, for me, my backyard is my oasis. I spend a lot of time back there. I bet a lot of you folks feel the same way, which is why I'm so glad that Save a Tree came into my life. You should get them in yours as well. They can help your trees, your bushes, your plants, and your shrubs look amazing. For example, if your trees and bushes, if they're sick, Save a Tree can nurse them back to health. If they just don't look right, Save a Tree can make them look incredible with the proper pruning. Now, they did come over to my house, Save a Tree did. I told them my issues and concerns with my plants and my shrubs, and they did give me some great suggestions on how to fix my crepe myrtles and my shrubs. These folks are actual arborists at Save a Tree who can do wonders for your back or your front yard. They can make your lawn look amazing and weed-free. They can also treat yellow leaves and diseased shrubs. And yes, they can help you bring those trees back to life. So, see how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own evaluation at saveatree.com. Spelling is important, SAVATREE, saveatree.com. Or simply call pound 250 on your smart device and say the word Save a Tree. That's pound 250, keyword Save a Tree. $7:34, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You're going to receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. You'll save time and make the most money. Dan Mandis here. Now, with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell, receive that all-cash offer, and close in as little as 21 days. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Listen to their client Jerry's experience. He has great things to say. He says, we needed to move quickly and we were worried the process would be lengthy and we'd spend a lot of money on repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate got us an offer in just 3 days, and yes, it was over the asking price. He says it was amazing. Friends, now selling your home is a really big decision. Who you work with does indeed matter. As the most experienced real estate team in the industry, you can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call them, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. You can find them online, markspain.com, to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com, and start packing.
Okay, things are clearing up, but still very slow on 840 westbound just before Almaville Road. That's where the accident is. The roadway's been open now, but the left shoulder is blocked off. And again, pretty slow. Antioch, Murfreesboro Pike at Mount View Road. That's a crash scene. And the Gore is blocked in the Gulch at 40 westbound at Broadway. Now, you do have a crash as well out at the airport. Still working at Murfreesboro Pike at McGavock Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to get a lot in this segment. Number one, this is really sad. I don't know, Joan, if you saw this.
Okay.
But I heard from Mike Sparks. Apparently, the Department of Safety killed his school bus bill. Remember, he was on here to talk about how he had a bill. He wanted to go and lower the age of school bus drivers, the minimum age from 25 down to 21.
Yeah.
And apparently that bill was killed. The Department of Safety killed his bill. He says the Senate voted it down after the Department of Safety testified and visited offices there in the state capitol. I think that's a mistake. I do. Whatever. I mean, that's their decision. But we have a crisis in this state regarding school bus drivers. We just simply don't have enough. And so I disagree with that, but whatever. I do believe that it's frustrating, though. So we'll try to get Mike on here at some point.
Is it dead for good? Sometimes they shelve those bills and then they come back later on.
It sounds to me, if the Department of Safety said that this is something that they don't approve of, then it sounds to me like, this is dead for good. So there is that. Somebody also is asking me. People are asking on the super text line. Maybe you know the answer to this question. About the new licenses.
Yeah.
Somebody says 7693, and I bet you a lot of people have this question. My current driver's license does not expire till 2027. Do I still need to change it? I believe that answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to get what is it? What do you call it? What's the official?
Little star sticker.
Little star, little dot, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I have to get mine. What is the new date of?
May 7th.
Okay. So, I got to get down there.
You have a little bit of time, but the point is that these appointments are filling up fast. And even if you get an appointment, you may get it 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. So, get out there. We need it.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
You know, don't you love how this is in one of my stories coming up, but you got all these illegal aliens that are driving without licenses. And they don't get in trouble. Yet,
isn't that true?
Yet
my gosh!
Yet the state is demanding that we get our verification updated or whatever it is. So it's a little frustrating.
And here's another funky part of it: in order to get your real ID, you have to have your proof of U.S. citizenship or legal presence. So, no, they're not going to be able to get a driver's license in the future if they don't have their real ID.
Here's the dumb thing, though, and if they get caught driving without a license, then frankly they ought to be deported. They ought to. I mean, I'm here to tell you that it is frustrating that there are demands made upon citizens of this country, and illegal aliens. They don't feel the need to follow the rules, and so then if you live in states where illegals can get driver's licenses, it's really frustrating. And you talk to people who are down at the courthouse. We went through this a while ago. You talk to people down at the courthouse and they'll say, you got all these illegal aliens that are busted for driving without a license and so forth. And then they just allow them to drive home. What the hell sense does that make?
It doesn't make any sense. And I would think that Jonathan Scrimetti would have a little insight into that. Right? Because these people are skating. They're getting away with it.
Yep.
How? How is that possible?
Well, that dovetails into this next conversation. Now, earlier, I think it was either this week or last week, but there was that story about the illegal alien in Austin, and he was driving that semi.
Yes.
And he didn't see that there was traffic stopped ahead of him and ended up plowing into like 17 cars. and he killed like 5 people. Remember that whole thing?
I do.
So now there is a situation going on in Arkansas. There is a woman who is actually now openly asking the questions. Why are we here in America allowing illegal aliens to drive these large semi-trucks when, guess what? They can't read the language, i.e. street signs, and they can't speak the language.
Mark Bryant was killed by an illegal who had been in the country for 12 days. He did not possess a driver's license, a CDL. He didn't even have a residence. He had a suitcase in his truck. The company he worked for is just full of shell companies. You can't find who he worked for. He didn't speak any English. He can't tell you how he was getting paid. You don't know where he lived because he had the suitcase. But because of the negligence of government, of him, my kids now do not have a dad.
I mean, yeah, that is a woman named LaDonna Bryant. She lost her kid's father, her ex, to an illegal driving a truck. Guy had been here for 12 days. He was driving recklessly. She doesn't really know how exactly it is that this guy ultimately ended up getting the ability to drive a truck. But clearly this guy didn't really know how to operate the truck. He was illiterate in English, and he's behind the wheel of this massive truck that, yes, can kill Americans.
You should not be able to drive a commercial vehicle in the state of Arkansas if you can't speak English. How are you reading the road signs? How do you know what you're doing? If you can't read the road signs, you're not operating legally. We have to know how to read the road signs at 16 to get your license. So how are we making this fair for them to come here?
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, we got all of us, you know, we had to get our driver's licenses, and we did have to be able to read road signs and take the written test and the driving test, which was, of course, in English. Apparently, these illegals, they could just get behind the wheel of one of these trucks and just go.
And I do not see how anyone could sit here and vote for anything that would let an illegal drive in our country and kill innocent people. It's not fair that we have children growing up without their parents.
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing that you've got some folks out there that they want illegals, people on the left, they want illegals to be able to drive trucks. Again, I hearken back to that story from earlier this week where the illegal was driving that truck in Austin, Texas. Guy couldn't speak English. Guy's name was Solomon Araya, and he killed 5 people, and turns out he was on drugs. As CNS depressants, that could be Xanax or opioids or barbiturates, hypnotics, they say, sedatives. And so these can be prescription. You can get them on the street or whatever. But clearly, local news reported, dude should not have been behind the wheel.
Police believe those drugs left him in a state, this is a direct quote, not capable of operating a vehicle safely.
Yeah. Oh, and it gets worse. It gets a lot worse. 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. I mean, one of the most compelling pieces of audio that I've played this week was when this guy in Austin, who he killed 5 people, and he's wandering around the highway and looking at all of this carnage, and another driver caught up to him and said, "What in the world were you thinking?"
What happened?
Well, I'm coming in. Somebody left you, and I put here. So.
But the traffic was there, bro. Like, there's no way it should have been. I'm a trucker myself, bro. You're not putting that. You were going too fast. They're dead. Dead? They're dead.
Dead?
Yes, dead.
Oh my goodness.
You know, this dude can barely, I mean, he really can't speak English, and he can't understand what this other truck driver is saying when he says there are dead bodies strewn all over the highway and you are responsible.
They're dead, bro. 2 of them are dead, bro. And I don't know about the rest.
Huh?
I don't know about the rest. But 2 for sure. 2 for sure. Bro, they finna lock your ass up. Huh? They finna lock your ass up. They're gonna lock you up.
I'm lucky?
They're gonna lock you up. Lock you up. Put you in handcuffs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're gonna lock you up. That's manslaughter, bro. They're dead.
Yeah. So again, you can tell the guy can't speak English. He's intoxicated on some sort of a drug, some sort of medication, and some company hired this guy to drive a truck. And so now Arkansas, that woman that I played for you a few moments ago, she is in Arkansas, and she was testifying regarding a debate that was going on in Arkansas where they were trying to get illegals off of the road. Now, this is going to be a big issue for the trucking industry because you do have a lot of these companies that do end up hiring people from places like China and El Salvador, Cuba, Eastern European countries as well, Mexico. Roughly 25% of drivers are foreign born. And so companies may have a hard time being able to find drivers. But I mean, I hate to say it, but I would rather have these companies have a hard time find drivers than have people like this behind the wheel of a truck where people can die. I mean, the audio, the testimony of that woman, LaDonna Bryant, who was testifying about how the father of her children and her ex-husband was killed by one of these guys. I mean, you can do a lot of damage with a semi. And if you don't know what you're doing, if you can't read, if you can't really operate a vehicle, then no, you should not be behind the wheel. Now, in Arkansas, they did just pass that bill that operating a truck without being able to understand English, again, that is now considered a crime, and that's a good thing.
Got stopped at the weigh station in Arkansas and was handed a piece of paper, and it says, "Can you read and write English?" I said, "Yes, sir, I sure can." He goes, "Can you read this?" So I read it out loud for him, and, it's short and sweet, no problem. He goes, "Now, can you write this for me on this paper?" And I did, and there was a whole bunch of people that have already written on it.
Yeah, so this trucker, he's out there, and he says that, yes, at a weigh station, he did get stopped and had to pass an English fluency test, speaking and writing. And if a truck driver failed, then, yes, it was going to be an issue.
I was actually witnessing people in handcuffs that had been pulled in, and I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, we've come across now that if you cannot read or write in English, that it's a $5,000 fine. And if you have a company in Arkansas that employs people that can't read or write in English, it's a $10,000 fine paid on the spot. If you cannot pay it, you're automatically arrested and lose your license."
So there you go. That is becoming more and more of a topic of conversation in the trucking industry across America. In Mexico, we talked about the fact that they do mandate that people seeking citizenship there learn to speak the language. Donald Trump wants to do the same thing here, making English the national language, which I believe is really smart. And by the way, states can make laws. The trucking industry is heavily governed by federal laws. So that's going to be one to watch to see if other states do what Arkansas has apparently already done. It is 7:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open at 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Hey, Joan.
Hey there. So, you know those bills dealing with children who are living in Tennessee illegally and their right to go to school here? Well, two of them are moving through the state legislature. We'll tell you where they ended up yesterday. Those stories coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Joan. 7:50 on Super Talk 99.7. Want to tell you about my friends at Zero Res Spring Cleaning Time, and they are offering a great way to get your carpets clean and save you money. Now, I've been using Zero Res for years because they don't use harsh chemicals and they don't use harsh soaps, just powered water. And that means pure safety for your family and your pets. Now, I want you to think about last night, the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. We've had all kinds of rain and snow and all of that mud, the dirt and the grime and the bacteria. That is being tracked into your home. You need a carpet cleaning company that can safely get your carpets clean. Not only does Zero Res have the highest approval rating possible from the Carpet and Rug Institute, Zero Res is rated the #1 cleaning system in the nation by an independent testing laboratory. When they clean, Zero Res, there's nothing left behind. They've got great reviews on both Google and Facebook, and of course, from the Mandis household as well. They do have a great deal going on right now. I'm going to tell you about it. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $109, 25% off of area rugs. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned, $109 only. They're also going to give you 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them at 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Find them online, ZeroResNashville.com. $7:54 in Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So a lot of people asking, how are these truck drivers getting their CDL? Talking about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know there's apparently, and this doesn't surprise me, but if you read up on this sort of a thing, there are shady companies that can help illegals get a CDL.
Really?
Apparently that's what's
Wait,
part
shouldn't
of
the
what's going
shady
on.
companies be out of business and people locked up? I mean...
And that's one of the things, if you heard the audio that I was playing from that woman who lost her ex-husband
Mm-hmm.
and the father of her kids, one of the things that she said is that these companies, when you try to hold them accountable,
Yeah.
they're like shell corporations.
They fold up and go away.
You have no idea who they are, where they are, even where they're based out of. So, you try to hold the companies accountable, but you just can't figure out where they are, who they are, or who owns the company. They make it almost impossible. And so if you're grieving the loss of your loved one and you're trying to hold them accountable with a lawsuit, well, how much money are you going to spend trying to hunt down or track down a company that more than likely probably is a shell company. You, for whatever reason, you're not going to be able to hold them accountable, and it's going to cost you even more money. You're already dealing with a loss of income. You have to pay for funeral services, all these things. So, I mean, I agree with President Trump. And remember, a lot of this stuff is going to have to come from the federal level. But we need to have a way to figure out how to hold these companies accountable and to prevent them from putting these illegal aliens behind the wheel of these trucks. We just absolutely need to do that because, I mean, truly, and how many times have we seen the stories of, illegal aliens behind the wheels of just cars and killing folks? And so people obviously are getting really fed up with all of this. And you see, I think just to come full circle, I think part of all of that is why the American people they've got such a low opinion of the Democrats because they're for all of this.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing about all of that is they're okay with this.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. And then they wonder why it is that they're so low in the polls. Earlier, by the way, real quickly.
I also have to clear something up, but go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so somebody had asked a question about the real IDs and if they have to get a new ID if they're, getting a driver's license that carries into 2027 or something. As long as you have that star, it's a gold circle with a star in the middle of it on the right top of your driver's license. If you have that star, you don't need to do anything else. But if you don't have the star, which indicates real ID, then yes, you're going to have to go back and get a new ID.
Okay. So I have to go get an ID.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
And they also say, a lot of people responded here saying, in the comment section on YouTube, that they went to the Lebanon DMV. It was packed. Sumner County, packed. A lot of people are making, when the Lebanon DMV was packed, the intercom system was broken, so the clerks have to go out and scream across the room.
Oh, no.
So it's bad. It's bad news. There's lines out the door. People getting appointments for June or July. You need to get there. Find one that's not quite so packed. Maybe that'll help. In like less urban places, less, a little bit more rural places, you might have more success.
So yeah, mine is Mount Juliet, and
you're going to be busy.
Yeah, I am.
Maybe you need to whip out some $100 bills when you get there.
Try to bribe folks.
Yeah, like getting a good seat somewhere at a restaurant.
If only I had $100 bills to give away, Joan.
Come on, I know
that.
you do.
Randy says, good luck with the shady trucking companies. They're usually foreign and they just disappear. The best way to control this is basically through trucking insurance. That would be another question, I guess. Do these companies, these fly-by-night companies that employ the illegal aliens, do they have insurance? I don't know. My knowledge of this topic is spent. I don't have any more knowledge on it, except that it is outrageous that this is going on. And there's a lot of people that are calling on President Trump and the Department of Transportation to get a hold of this topic, this issue, and do something about it. It is 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eight o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump makes good on his promise today to turn over control and funding of the Department of Education to the states.
The Department of Education days could be numbered. Multiple sources tell ABC News President Trump plans to sign an executive order directing Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps permitted by law to dissolve the department she oversees. It follows sweeping cuts to the agency last week, slashing nearly half of the DOE workforce. Curriculum decisions are already handled at state and local levels. Critics say abolishing the Education Department will hurt underserved students and schools. Congressional approval is still needed to close the department. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
An emotional hearing yesterday in the case of Logan Garver, who's charged with DUI after a crash on I-40 in December. during which his friend, Austin David, was ejected from his truck and then run over by other cars. Austin David's mother making a plea to Garver in court.
I mean, I could have sympathy for you. I could feel bad for you if you would just admit it and, let us try to move on somehow instead of dragging us through this.
Garver's case is being sent now to a grand jury. The General Assembly advancing a bill that keeps free tampons and pads in stock at Tennessee high schools. Knoxville Republican State Representative Elaine Davis is the sponsor, and she talked to Channel 4.
So if they have an emergency or if they just don't have the ability to purchase those products for themselves, they're there. So that way that gives them some dignity and also just keeps them in the classroom.
Another bill, the one that would allow school districts to charge tuition for children who are illegally residing in the U.S., that's been temporarily shelved after a Senate Education Committee vote failed. Protesters took credit, including this guy from Chattanooga speaking to Channel 4.
Denying children and punishing kids on some sort of weird, crusade that they have, it is shameful.
The conservative sponsors say it's not weird to recognize that so many illegals in the classroom is hitting Tennesseans in the pocketbook and causing problems for overworked teachers. Meantime, another bill that allows schools to disenroll or simply not enroll children here illegally, that one will be voted on in the House and in the Senate next week. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. The Fed didn't change interest rates yesterday at the conclusion of their two-day meeting. But they did say that inflation may move up this year, but they don't expect that trend to last very long. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Futures this morning, they've been down all morning long. And before the opening bell here, the Dow Futures are down 166. NASDAQ Futures minus 115. S&P Futures, they're down 25. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash on 24, the westbound lanes at Laverne this morning at Old Hickory Boulevard, exit 62. That's causing some delays this morning, and then it's slow beyond that into Nashville. 40, as you make your way into Nashville, also looks pretty jammed up this morning. Same thing for 65, right at the merge there with 24. That is jammed as well as a volume delay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. I got CNN up in the studio here, and there is a headline. They're covering it right now, and it's about these town halls that we've been talking about off and on here the last couple of days. Remember what I told you? Apparently, there's something that happened last night. Is it a Congressman Hageman, Hageman or MON? But apparently they're saying that there was a town hall last night, and it did not go well for whoever was on stage. And I don't know if it was a Republican or Democrat. KGB's looking up who this Congressman Hageman is. Have you found it yet?
Is it a woman? Or is
I don't know.
The only one I can find is Harriet Hageman, who was the one that went after that beat Liz Cheney in the primaries back in for Wyoming.
So she if she had a town hall last night. She's a Democrat.
Yes.
Okay.
No, Republican.
No, she's a Republican.
Yeah,
Is she?
She beat Liz Cheney in the primaries to be the Republican seat.
I so consider Liz Cheney a Democrat. Moving right along.
So
it's Harriet Hageman.
Yeah, MSNBC said GOP rep Hageman booed for defending Doge at town hall. So yes, that's her.
Okay, so here's the question, and CNN has this audio. GOP Representative Hageman booed for response about Doge's federal cuts. I don't know if somebody can find me the audio to that. I bet you it's on X. They say this is breaking, but Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike, because I was talking about this just earlier today. Mike Johnson was talking about how Democrats, they're putting in paid protesters into these town halls. And this is something that Democrats are known to do. This was Mike Johnson a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about this.
Look, I mean, we have Republicans who want to go out and be among their constituents and hear their concerns and dialogue with them. It's a big part of the job. But the problem is they're being ambushed right now by what are some, in many cases, paid protesters. You've got George Soros-funded groups. They're very well organized. That's one thing Democrats do very well is this organization, right? And they go an hour or two early before the event. They fill all the seats. And so the actual constituents of these Republican members can't actually make it into the arenas. And so it's not a productive dialogue at all. They're just walking into an ambush. So we've encouraged our members to think thoughtfully about that. There are a lot of ways now with technology to be in constant dialogue with your constituents. You can do telephone town halls and get 10,000 people on the phone at the same time. You can have small group meetings with industry or organization groups or various parts of your community, and it'd be very productive. Look. All
right, so there you go. So that is Mike Johnson a couple of weeks ago. And KGB says, here it is. There's no cursing on this, is there, KGB?
Well, it's a handmade. It's someone on their phone recording this, so there could be maybe background noise. I'll have the dump button ready, but it should be just booze.
All right, so this is Representative Harriet Hageman, Republican, and she was asked during this town hall meeting, apparently about Doge. Oh, there you go.
They didn't even let her speak, basically.
Dismantling Social Security.
Oh, okay. So you hear what's going on, right? So apparently somebody got up, and I've got to surmise from the audio. So you got all these folks that are booing, and then she says,
Doge is not dismantling Social Security.
So that is a constant accusation from these people on the left, from the liars on MSNBC, from the liars on CNN. This is how I know that this whole thing is a ruse and a setup and an ambush by the Democrats. Because if somebody got up and somebody made that accusation, that is an accusation made by the left. So here's the formula. You get up, you make the accusation that Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Doge, they're going to take away our Social Security. And then everybody starts booing. And then they have their little soundbite, their little video bite. But the reality is, and Mike Johnson will tell you, and anybody who knows anything about what Donald Trump's plans are for Social Security, you know that he's not going to cut Social Security, nor has he ever said he's going to cut Social Security. This is what the Democrats do. They lie. And so the plan was that one person was going to get in there. They were going to ask the question, or not ask the question, but make the accusation about killing Social Security. Then all of their friends started booing.
And even with reconciliation, we are not allowed to touch Social Security. The work that I have specifically been doing, I am on this.
All right, so you hear what they're saying, right? Can you tell, Joan, what they're saying?
No, I can't tell.
Deport Elon. Deport Elon.
You mean the legal citizen?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Well, that shows you their mentality, KGB, and that's a great point. I don't know. I have not listened to this before, so let's just enjoy the train wreck together.
The Judiciary Committee and the Natural Resources Committee.
I worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, helping Wyoming family farmers deal with drought until I was fired a month ago in the mass firings, and despite only having the highest marks in my performance review. In a state where so many farmers rely on government programs for drought and disaster relief, Trump's plans to cut these programs and the people who administer them, coupled with the tariffs, will decimate Wyoming farms and rural communities. What are you doing about that?
All right, so this is a woman that apparently was fired by Trump, and I didn't hear what department she worked for, but she's obviously angry about being fired. She has some accusations about how Trump and Doge is going to, I think she said, destroy Wyoming farmers. Is that what she said? I don't know. And so for these folks to be screaming, fire Elon, though, and deport Elon, that is clearly a Democrat slogan. That is definitely, you see their little signs out there outside of the state capitals and the federal building in Washington, D.C. and so forth to deport Elon. And so that is obviously a Democrat thing. This woman is angry because she did get fired, and she got fired, and probably she wasn't going to work. Probably she refused to go back to work and so forth. But let's see what the representatives has to say.
I disagree.
Wow. Okay. So I want to play that whole thing in its context again. They're screaming deport Elon. This woman gets up and makes these accusations. The congresswoman says, I disagree, and everybody starts booing.
Resources Committee.
I worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, helping Wyoming family farmers deal with drought until I was fired a month ago in the mass firings, and despite only having the highest marks in my performance review. In a state where so many farmers rely on government programs for drought and disaster relief, Trump's plans to cut these programs and the people who administer them, coupled with the tariffs, will decimate Wyoming farms and rural communities. What are you doing about that?
So she goes to the microphone.
I disagree.
You really think those are Republicans in that town hall?
I come from the ag community. I'm well aware of what kind of programs are out there. It's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government. But here's the thing.
Wow. I love that. Calm down.
You guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. Your hysteria is just really over the top.
I love how she calls them out. Will you people just calm down?
Yeah.
So that's clearly Democrats that are infiltrating these town halls. And they're, I'm assuming, allowed to be in there. I don't know.
These are the ones that voted for Liz Cheney. You know what I'm talking about? Those kind of people. Like that try to pretend they're Republicans in primaries to try to keep her in power.
Okay. Well, regardless, clearly what they don't want is to have a dialogue. Clearly what they don't want is to be able to have a respectful back and forth. All they want is to yell and to call names and to scream. They got their little noisemaker things. And so I think Mike Johnson is absolutely right. And these are people that have infiltrated and they don't want a discussion. And the reason why they don't want a discussion is because they don't want to talk about what USAID was really paying for. And that's the whole point, is that you've got all of the ridiculous things that Elon Musk and Doge have uncovered. Nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about deporting Elon or the innocent federal government workers that have been fired and all that other stuff. But nobody wants to talk about what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats were doing with our money. Running late, 8:17. Time to check the roads on WTN. (8:17) on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is on fire today. 8715 says this. Okay, so is this a fair thing to say? Who cares? This is democracy. Is it democracy, though? Like, if you have a town hall, and it's too quick to change the poll, but is this democracy where you have all of these people coming in? I do understand everybody's got a freedom of speech, but these people are not allowing this congresswoman to really speak or have an appropriate dialogue. Part of democracy clearly is freedom of speech and all that kind of, I totally get it. So I guess nobody's saying that they can't do what they're doing, which is infiltrating these town halls and causing a ruckus. But I think that what they're trying to show and what they're trying to purport is that Republicans are angry about what Donald Trump is doing, which they're clearly, if you look at the polling, they're not. And so when you have all of the ladies out there on The View, the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, and what they want to do is they want the Democrats to fight. They want them to fight, fight, fight. Well, is this what they mean?
I think what you fight on matters, too. And I think, again, that this was a fight that needed to happen, and it didn't happen.
She's talking about Chuck Schumer.
And because of Chuck Schumer. If you think about it, Republicans would have had to own that government shutdown. It's what they have control of everything, and it would have been squarely on their backs. And I am not alone in this opinion.
Well, so here's the thing. Number one, you're wrong, because the Republicans were all for keeping the government open, and the Democrats would have been solely responsible for shutting down the government. But at The View, facts don't matter. But here's the other thing, is that when you have so many Republicans that have been saying this is what's going on, this is just the bad guys of the Democrat Party and George Soros infiltrating these town halls and doing what they're doing. These are the people that have the NGOs. These are the activists. These are the grassroots folks within the Democrat Party. And this is what they're going to do. But here's the deal. I think that this could backfire. The only people that this, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but the only people that this kind of crap impresses is the people on the left. And I don't believe that people don't like rude. Do you know what I mean? Like your average independent, even I'd be willing to bet your moderate Democrat, and certainly Republicans and conservatives, they just don't like rude. And those people are being rude. Yelling and chanting, deport Elon. You couple this with going after Elon Musk's Tesla, doxing all of those Tesla owners all across America, which is part of the news cycle over the last couple of days. I reported that to you. We could talk about what's coming up on March 29th. It's going to be a Saturday where all across the world, Tesla dealerships are going to be under attack. Protests is what they're calling them. We'll have to see if these are peaceful or not. But we all know what we've seen. We've seen Tesla dealerships. They've already been under attack. So this is just what happened last night at this Republican Congresswoman's town hall is really just a continuation of what we keep seeing. And so, I love what Senator John Kennedy had to say. I played this audio earlier where he says, you know what? If this is what they're going to do, then bless their hearts.
Now, that's great for the Republican Party, but it's bad for America. These people are deeply weird. Republicans' secret plan for dealing with the Democrats is called Operation Let Them Speak. But that's good for our party, but it's bad for America. And I think Schumer did the right thing.
All right, so he's talking about Schumer and sort of the overall state of the Democrat Party these days. He also had this to say about Democrats, and he kind of calls them, bunch of loons.
Having said that, many Democrats are angry at Schumer. Among them right now, we've all seen the news. He's about as popular as chlamydia. But that to me says as much about the Democratic Party as it does about Senator Schumer. What it tells me is that the loon wing of the Democratic Party is firmly in control.
So there you go. It is 8:22, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Joan Jones has the news at 8:30. Hey, Joan.
Hey there, Dan. Why the National Weather Service radios are on the blink in parts of the Nashville area. Then the man who was last seen with a missing college student in the Dominican Republic, that guy is back on terra firma in the U.S. Those stories and more coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. At 8. $8.20. Good Lord. $8.23.
Well done, Dan. You're a professional, right?
Professionalism.
Yes. Been doing this for a long time.
Listen, it's not my fault the promos are in my way.
Yes, clearly.
What happens when you change the clocks on an old guy? Anyway, moving right along. 8:24 now on WTN. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask because some insurance companies refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof. This means that the insurance company is going to depreciate how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they're going to pay you less, and that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. You've got to call my friends at King & Associates Insurance. They will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 20-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Their phone number, call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Get your Royal Review, tkinginsurance.com. 826 Nashville's Morning News on WTN. News with Joan Jones is coming up. Listen, Dan Mandis here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. If you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years, and I've never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago. I was riddled with pain. I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really did help me a lot, and every once in a while I do need an adjustment, and Dr. Mitch does indeed fix me right up. And right now, a great deal for listeners to my show. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th president, Donald Trump, of course. That is 47% off spinal decompression. Now, they utilize the highest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective, non-surgical solutions. Call them today. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Find them online, painisbad.com, to take advantage of the Big 47 offer, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. And I put my seal of approval on that deal.
Good morning. It is 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's a problem on 40 this morning on the westbound side at Hermitage Avenue. That is where you'll find a stalled out tractor trailer, and it's taken up the right lane. Lots of traffic backed up behind it. The National Weather Service admits its radio tower in Shelbyville is out of service and has been since October. Channel 4 says it's causing a lot of people in Rutherford County to have radio silence in times of severe weather, including this Murfreesboro man, Doug Bowen.
They've worked perfectly, and now they don't. So it's very concerning. We feel like part of our safety net, if you will, has been taken away.
The National Weather Service said that other weather radio towers in the area should prevent any large dead zones, but people do need to try tuning their radios into other stations to get a signal. It is important for people to have more than one way to get weather emergency alerts. Well, the man who's linked to the disappearance of a college student in the Dominican Republic has now departed the country, and he arrived here in the U.S. Joshua Reeby was the last person to see Sadishka Kananke before she vanished.
Joshua Reeby pleading with a judge in the Dominican Republic to grant his freedom. The judge ordering authorities to allow him free movement, but stopping short of giving him back his passport.
U.S. officials issuing Reeby an emergency travel document and helping him to get home. But prosecutors confiscated his phone and passport on March 8th, and his lawyers say he was confined to his hotel and surveilled by police.
ABC's Ariel Reshef. Reeby was never considered a suspect, and he did cooperate with police. The Kananke family has now acknowledged that Sadishka tragically drowned. As Starbucks continues to struggle, a new coffee chain has just brought its signature low-cost drinks to the U.S. China's Luckin Coffee has just set up shop in New York City. Now, their signature coffee runs $2 to $3 a cup. Starbucks is more like $6 to $7. Starbucks has been struggling with lower foot traffic and financial issues, recently reducing the number of drinks on the menu and laying off more than 1,000 employees. Money News now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Starting out this morning on the low side after on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials now down 172. The Nasdaq starting off 103 lower. The S&P 500 index is down 28. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
8:33, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, that pre-summer stress is starting to kick in. How confident are you that you're ready to slide into that bathing suit? Now, if you need help, like so many of us do, I want you to check out my friends at Contours of Cool Springs. They're experts in red light technology. Now, a whole bunch of WTN listeners have been calling down there. They want to lose inches of fat. Now, listen. Contours can help you lose 2 inches of fat in that first session, or it is free. Now, I did it. My pants are noticeably looser. And if you don't have the same experience, then that session is free. So you don't have anything to lose. You know, the Contours in Cool Springs, the only place in Tennessee with this specific cutting-edge red light technology. So people are coming from everywhere because what Contours offers is unique and effective. See how it works at their website, online at contoursllc.com. Now, right now, Contours is offering you a $99 belly buster special to the first 10 callers. Now, realize this is normally a $600 value. First 10 callers right now gets it for only $99. You ready? That phone number, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. And this is a great company that is helping people lose fat. ContoursLLC.com, 615-236-9960.
Yeah, it's still there. That stalled out tractor trailer parked right in the right lane of I-40, westbound side at Hermitage Avenue. That's causing a delay this morning. And it's still delayed with a volume delay all the way from Smyrna up to Nashville as you travel westward on 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, look, I've been called a racist.
Again?
Yes. You know, this gets so boring.
Yeah.
You know what? Interestingly enough, earlier I was actually intrigued because somebody actually asked me if I was having a stroke. Now,
oh, right. Did you? I noticed that you responded to that guy.
yeah, I was like, okay, so what exactly was I doing that made it seem like I had a stroke? I mean, was I sounding like Mitch McConnell?
Yeah.
Was I?
He didn't answer you, by the way.
Joan just said, yeah. Like,
No,
oh, wait,
no,
I
no.
was sounding like Mitch McConnell?
No, sorry.
Nashville's Morning News.
That'll be me in 20 years.
That is so good, Chris. Do you practice that?
I don't. I pull it out occasionally.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, yeah, the guy asked if I was having a stroke, and I'm like, I don't think so. But a guy says, is it 2865? Is that what it is? Because KGB was going back and forth with him.
Oh, I love messing with him.
No, 2666 is the guy that asked you if you had a stroke.
Oh, no. 2865 is one that calls us racist all the time. I just love messing with him. I have a text I want to send to 2865.
Yeah.
Can you just look at my response and see if it's funny or not?
Are you going to send it to me?
I just sent it. No, I just sent it to the guy. Just let me know if it's funny or not.
Oh.
Oh, we already
2865?
Yeah.
You said, he said, y'all are deranged.
No, not that part. The one after he called us racist.
It hasn't updated on my screen
Oh.
yet.
KGB said, my brother is black.
Which is true.
You got to lean into that
He's
stuff.
just from another mother.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that was not a joke. That's what you said.
Yeah.
The best thing is he signed in under Chris Webber.
No,
So-
I write my initial on there.
Oh, KGB.
so.
My brother is black.
They
Whatever.
don't see that part.
Got it. Whatever. I don't know. Well, you want to take a... So, Joan, was that funny? All right. Chris, do you think that was funny?
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Thank you.
I always tell those people to call in, and then I stop getting the messages.
Yeah,
So
there
call
you go.
in. Let's have this conversation on the air.
Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, I got a surprise from Murphy Show today. So
Was it about the $1 that he left in the studio?
No.
So, okay, I found out it was not him that did that.
It was not Murphy that did it. I don't know who it was. And by the way, just so you people know, I said that I was going to take the $1, but then I didn't.
I know.
But
I actually left it in here.
It's no longer here.
So then who has it?
Who took the $1?
I don't know.
That's what we need to find out.
I don't know.
Cleaning crew.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know who took it, but I didn't because even though I proclaimed that I did, I actually felt kind of bad because I thought maybe somebody had actually accidentally left it in here and might come looking for their $1, and I didn't want to be the one that was stealing a $1 from somebody. But Murphy Show left me, and I posted this to my Facebook page at Dan Manda Show. So maybe you can figure this out. He left me a pad of paper that says, "This could save your life," and there's a quarter and some lifesavers. And I don't know if the lifesavers could save my life literally, but I mean, they are lifesavers.
Right.
So there is that.
So what's with the quarter then?
Well, I don't know, because here's the deal. Matt, the last person left me $1. So you're leaving me a quarter. Come on, man, step it up. Inflation demands that I get at least 3.
So is this a riddle that he left you?
Maybe it is a riddle. I don't know. So, but I appreciate the lifesavers, and I will most certainly use the quarter. And for something, I don't know what, maybe a gumball machine? Something like that?
No, those are 50 cents now.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
50 cents for a gumball?
Pretty sure.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, what do you got for this?
I found out that McDonald's in Canada is bringing a new burger to the menu.
Really? Do you know what Canadians have said about that? Eh?
That's what they said.
Oh
That's what
my
they said.
God. Shame on you.
Pretty good. Here's my thing.
Yes.
I don't know why these companies haven't learned the lesson by now that nobody wants vegetable-based burgers.
Oh, is this an impossible McDonald's burger?
Another one?
The patty consists of what looks like human hair. No, it has carrots, green beans, zucchini, peas, soybeans, broccoli, and corn.
No. Just
yuck.
You know what? I bet you that tastes really good if you put like a pound of ketchup on it.
Some Big Mac sauce.
Ketchup and mustard, like 15 pieces of cheese. Well, are
And
you allowed
some
to put a
meat.
piece of cheese on that?
But you think about all the money that goes into these burgers. You got to do the development. You got to do the testing. You got to figure it out. Then you got to roll it out. And then nobody buys it.
What is up with vegetarians and vegans like eating stuff that looks like meat that's not actually meat?
I don't understand it.
There's tofu burger as well. It's like, why do you need meat? You don't want to eat meat, but you want stuff to look like it.
Right.
Well, if you're going to have a hamburger type thing, it's got to look like a hamburger type thing. Do they make hamburgers out of kale?
I don't know. I've heard that kale's actually really bad for you and that the marketing guys over at Big Kale really did a number on us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Joan, you ever have kale?
Yes, I have.
And your thoughts?
They have a little kale salad at Chick-fil-A, and I really like it. I'm not a
I've
real
actually
kale
had
fan.
that too.
Yeah, it's really good.
I like the kale salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Big Kale wants you to think.
Yeah. Big kale.
Joan, we fell right into the hands of Big Kale.
I feel so taken advantage of.
As opposed to Big Mike, which have you seen her new hairdo?
Yes.
What is that? KGB, can you get that back up?
Get what back up?
Michelle Obama's hair.
Yeah, I can find it. Hold on.
If you watch on YouTube, KGB is going to put it back up. But we were talking about this earlier. Michelle Obama, on her latest edition of her podcast, which not a lot of people are listening to, or watching.
No.
But she's got this hairdo where it's like sideways Mickey Mouse ears, and then she's got like a poodle tail in the back. Is the only way that I can describe it. And Joan, how would you describe it? It just looks weird.
Well, all I can think of when I look at it is that you can't sleep on it because there's a big puff in the back and a big puff at the nape of the neck, and it's not really a puff. I mean, that would be a hard ball under your head. So I just can't see sleeping on that.
I don't know what she was doing. Like, what do you think?
Have you ever seen the movie Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood?
You've talked about this movie before.
No, I have not seen that movie.
So it's like, you remember the Scary Movie? Where like it was a parody of all the scary movies. Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood was a parody of Boys in the Hood, Don't Be a Menace, and all that.
Okay.
And there's a character in it by the name of Ashtray. And I feel like she was channeling her inner Ashtray and going for that hairstyle. I'll show you.
Dan,
a
when you
picture.
see it, it's scary accurate.
That's Ashtray. And that's his hairstyle.
That is kind of like what Michelle Obama is doing. And listen, I'm all for freedom of expression, and I'm going to express that I think that she looks dumb.
The picture is up on the stream now, and it's still ridiculous.
If anybody was watching that podcast, they'd be very upset.
Or distracted. Because everybody's going to say, what is she doing? Now, here's my theory. The reason why she's doing this is so that, lugheads like us will talk about her stupid podcast.
Yeah.
Joke's on her. We're not watching it.
We're mocking it. You know what I mean?
We're so bad.
I know.
What did you say, Joan?
We're so bad.
I don't know why that broke me, but that was good. Just because Joan's the most innocent person I know, and she just goes, so bad.
Joan's the most innocent person you know?
I am, okay?
Okay.
Dan.
Keep talking crap. She'll slash your tires.
Yeah. Dan, I got to say, with our audience, with our listeners, you got to make sure you appreciate Joan, or else they
Kiss
will
her
slash
butt.
your tires.
Kiss her butt is what you're saying.
For our safety, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got your kiss right here, buddy.
I try to do Jersey
Eagles still
Joan.
suck.
I tried to do Jersey Joan earlier in the broadcast.
I heard it.
Yeah.
It was not good. We will not be repeating
It was
that.
a valiant effort.
It was a valiant effort. I got an A for effort and an F for everything else. Have you heard what's going on with the Antarctica research crew?
Wasn't there like a big fight?
So this is from the New York Post.
Do we need to send Elon to save them?
That'd be funny. And actually, they do need Elon to go save them. They are trapped in an icy hell, and a coworker has snapped and is attacking them. And so now they don't know what to do because this coworker has gone crazy. 9 members of an Antarctic expedition are locked up together at a research station 2,000 miles from civilization. One of them is a madman accused of violently beating, threatening, and sexually harassing at least 2 of his teammates. So it's not like you can send this guy outside to cool off.
Oh, but
That, well, that didn't work out really well in the show Yellow Jackets. For you people that have watched that.
It went right over my head.
That's fine. It's
What
okay.
is Yellow Jackets?
Yellow Jackets is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's right up there with Breaking Bad, as a matter of fact. Anyway, but
Really?
yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time processing that.
Well, that's okay. You guys can be wrong.
You're so gracious.
Should we do a new Dan poll? Yellow Jackets or
No,
Breaking
because
Bad?
you know what? You won't accept the fact that I can be right about something, and that's cool.
I've never
it's all
heard of
fine,
it.
Good and well. Well, it's really good, and if you look it up, it's about, you know what it's about? It's about a soccer team, high school soccer team, and they're on a flight to the finals, and their plane crashes in the middle of nowhere.
Oh.
And so you've got, a bunch of teenage girls, and they're stuck in the forest in the middle of nowhere. And so,
And after one season, everybody dies. Is that what happened?
This sounds like Lost.
I never saw Lost, but I mean, it's really good because, you've got cannibalism and a few other things in there. It's really good. You got to go watch it.
All
right. Amy's at home saying, don't say it. Don't say it. And I'm not going to say it, honey. She knows exactly what I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say it.
What aren't you going to say?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why?
Pretty please?
Nope. The New York Post can reveal that the South African crew of 3 women and 6 men includes a glamorous doctor with her own skincare line and a deputy team leader who helped produce a short horror film during a previous stay at the station, along with 2 engineers and a meteorologist. And again, one of them has snapped and is going after the others. And apparently that director, the producer of the short horror film, actually did a film about this scenario.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if we can actually, I mean, this is in all seriousness, if we can actually go get these two astronauts in space, why can't we go get these people?
Yeah. Antarctica's a weird place.
And they're South African.
Yeah.
So Elon should go get his people. Whatever.
They should do a movie like this, kind of like Cool Runnings with the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yes. Great call. Great reference.
Okay. That's not nearly as good as my Yellow Jackets reference, though, because my Yellow Jackets,
I tend to think
my
it's
Yellow
better.
Jacket reference was far more pop culture than what you just did.
Have you? No, it's not.
Cool
Have you ever
Runnings
seen-
and John Candy?
Have you ever seen Cool Runnings?
No.
Have you seen
You
anything
should-
good?
This is something that you should watch over the weekend with Riker.
Oh.
I guarantee you, he hasn't seen it. It's one of the best movies ever made.
It's a heartwarming comedy for sure.
Is it a heartwarming? Are you guys messing with me?
No, hand to God.
No,
Okay.
it's
It's
really
an
good.
amazing movie.
But isn't it a true story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 4175. Yellow Jackets, modern ripoff of Lord of the Flies.
Oh.
Ooh.
Dan, you had me with girls, but you lost me with soccer. Okay. 0703. My wife watches it. It has no plot. Of course it has a plot. 8843. What is wrong with you? They're trying to.
They hate because they love. I'm just going to say that. They love messing because they actually appreciate you.
You see the text from 2613? I don't know what it means, but I like it. KGB sounds butterfly.
Butterfly?
KGB sounds
In the
butterfly.
sky?
All right. So just so we're clear, I've just finished season 1. So if there's
of Yellow Jackets,
you're
dialing it back now.
No, I'm not dialing it back. It's really good. There's 2 more seasons. Amy's already
So
2
this
seasons.
is a new
ahead.
show.
Yeah, it's a new show.
That ripped off Lord of the Flies and Lost. And Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield.
Ladybugs? No, whatever. Didn't you have a story about naked Donald Trump?
No, that's not what I have a story about.
Oh, you told me
That's your distraction? Naked Donald
You
Trump?
told me right before we turned on the microphone that you had a story about naked Donald Trump.
No. You were Van Gogh listening, Dan.
What?
You were Van Gogh listening.
I know. That's why I said
Okay.
what.
So a Florida man has been arrested. I know, shocker.
Mm-hmm.
He challenged Trump to a naked fight to the death.
Okay.
And so that's why they arrested
Wait,
him?
was the threat enough to get him arrested?
That was kind of the one that crossed the line.
Okay. All right,
He
very good.
He had been posting a bunch of videos calling Donald Trump the Antichrist, saying because of Donald Trump, every single person in the world is cursed. To which the local sheriffs were probably like, okay, this guy's a bit of a loon,
yes,
but he's harmless. Then he said Donald Trump has personally made business decisions which have hurt so many different reincarnated Jesuses in one clip.
What?
Oh, okay.
And
There's
then
multiple?
And then one of his alleged threats was including a challenge to Trump for a naked fight to the death. And that's when it escalated to the point that Secret Service became involved and the man was arrested.
I wonder what they charge him with.
I don't know.
Pay-per-view. Stop it.
You don't think that would get buys?
You know what I think? I think Trump would kick the crap out of the guy. That's what I think. I think Trump would. Here, are we really talking about who would win a naked fight with Donald Trump to the death?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We have reached the peak.
Well, then, you know what happens when you reach the peak? You quit while you're behind. And in this segment, there's a lot of behinds. Joe.
I just like it that I meet you at the peak.
There you go.
Ha.
Go ahead. What's coming up?
Yeah, there's something that you are going to need by May, and I'm going to tell you how to get it. Also, have you seen the video of the couple that added hair to their food to get it for free?
Does it look like Michelle Obama's?
No. Gosh, I hope not. Those stories and more coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, now, Chris, what do you got coming up?
Well, we'll talk about Trump versus the rogue judges. We'll talk about Tim Walz and his comments about Tesla stock and what was revealed about that Tesla stock and who owns it, and more.
Now, you know when Tim Walz said that, it gives him a little bit of a boost to watch Tesla's stock. Did you see how Elon responded?
I did. He said it gives me a bit of a boost to see the portrait of J.D. Vance in the White House.
And then I responded earlier today. What gives me a boost is my little Christmas ornament that Aaron sent me of the Electoral College. Because it's all red. And that is rapidly turning into one of my favorite colors.
It's beautiful.
8:54, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Dan Mandis here. America is full of gun stores, but here in Middle Tennessee, my home for all things 2A is the Glock store. Whether it is training, buying, or upgrading, you can count on the Glock store. One of the reasons why Glocks are the most popular handgun in America is that there's so many custom and performance parts. You've got night sights and competition triggers and red dot optics. There's so many ways to upgrade your firearm, and yes, they can do it at the Glock store for free while you wait. Yeah, there's always a gunsmith on duty, and yes, you did hear that right. You buy the parts, they will install them for free while you wait. There's a lot of reasons to like the Glock store. Free parts and installation is just one of them. Now, I know that you're going to find a lot to like about the Glock store, just like I did. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Find them online. 2 great websites, shoot270.com and glockstore.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.